when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers. Good morning. Yes, indeed. Welcome to the Tobago Updates morning show. As we continue to give God thanks for life, I am Julian Skeet.
And I am Adana Combi. Good morning and welcome. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Even if we're under the weather, we are giving God thanks for the simple fact that we are alive. Julian, I'm so happy to see you in this bright pink this morning.
Yes,
it gives me
yes.
hope. The festive season is upcoming, so the bright colors is doing something for me this morning.
Indeed. We give thanks. I continue to feel very pleasant and very joyful in the moment as we take in our backdrop. You know, the excellence that we're seeing here.
That's right.
Representing that of Christmas. And
Yes.
you know, we look forward to those images and so for persons, because you know, for Christmas it means a lot of things.
That's right.
And people have various fond memories. One that I always recall is that preparation time the night before.
Yes.
My parents and so on. In fact, my mom, and that was just the time when I started having ham. It's a tradition. It would be baked and so on that night before, and that's when you would start the tasting even before. The morning time.
Yes.
In fact, during the morning we had a nice addition of sauce and so for the Christmas. But I know everybody has their own
thing.
Their own type of tradition. For some, it's the baking of the cake and different things that happen in that week with the lead up. So I'm excited.
Yes,
I am indeed excited.
As am I. And you made me feel a little bit nostalgic there. I remember as children growing up, we used to go by my grandmother, and that woman loved that do. She loved that do. So we're talking about cleaning and painting and scrubbing and baking and cooking and having all the neighbors' children around in the yard, and you know who could hang the curtain the best, and it's all kind of competition. Actually, we used to have something. We used to have a little concert in my grandmother's yard. We used to invite all the neighbors. I would never forget. As little children, we took out pages of our copybook. We used to call it copybook back then, and you write little invitations to all the neighbors.
You started early.
Yes, start early, and invite them to this concert, and all of us singing and dancing. And these people used to give us $1.
See what I mean?
That's one of my fondest Christmas memories, man.
Indeed, fun times.
Yes.
And viewers, you know, as we go through heading on in, you know, in this Christmas season, feel free to share your memory with us. But at this point, we head on over to news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Julian and Adana. I am Sanika Cruikshank, and here is your news in 90 seconds for Tuesday, 28th of November, 2023. Brought to you by B-Mobile. It's a Christmas season with B-Mobile. Applications are now open for students willing to qualify for laptops and devices available from the Ministry of Education. In a press release issued, the ministry notified parents that the laptops and devices would only be distributed based on the outcome of a means test. This is to ensure that the laptops and devices are provided to students in need. The opportunity is open to all students in Trinidad and Tobago. Parents can fill out a form on the Ministry of Education's website to qualify. The senator will debate the Dragon gas deal with Venezuela today. Opposition Senator Wade Mark will lead a motion seeking a detailed government account of its approach to the project involving Shell, the national gas company, Venezuela, and the U.S. government. The U.S. Office of Foreign Assets Control extended the license for Trinidad and Tobago to access natural gas from the Dragon gas field until October 31, 2025. Energy Minister Stuart Young emphasized the government's ability to pay for gas in various currencies and humanitarian measures, aiming for production to begin within 2 years. Opposition leader Kamala Prasad-Bissessar announced the former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith will no longer seek to join crime talks between the government and opposition, aiming to avoid being a scapegoat for potential distributions. She urged the Prime Minister to reconsider attending the proposed talks, emphasizing the need for inclusive participation, expanded discussions, topics, input from experts, implementation of proposed plans, and credible government representation, urging against using the talks for political purpose. And that was your news in 90 seconds, brought to you by B-Mobile. It's a Christmas season with B-Mobile.
Will be done nice.
brings the most deals and the most vibes and the most cars and the most price. The most giveaways, the most parang. Having a Christmas season with me mobile. I want a Christmas season with me mobile. Bring me sorrel with us to a Merry Christmas. Having a Christmas season with me mobile.
Top up, buy a plan, sign up or pay your bill to enjoy the best Tobago Christmas. Be mobile. Life is on.
Thank you very much there, Tanika, and we're heading straight on into our birthday shout-outs. Birthday shout-outs.
And celebrating a birthday today is David Moore. David, it is your birthday and we want to wish you a very happy birthday in this festive season. We do hope that you enjoy your birthday today and we pray God's blessings upon your life. So happy birthday to you.
All right, and we have on the line up here this morning on screen with us, Karen Wahid Brong. It's your day. Wishing you a happy birthday and continued blessings coming from the entire Tobago Updates family.
And this is a man no stranger to Tobago. This is Mr. Kerry Walcott. We want to wish you a happy birthday. If you know the guy who takes all these beautiful drone shots of the island of Tobago, giving you that beautiful picturesque view. You know, we want to say happy birthday to you, Kerry. We appreciate you. And we pray God's blessings upon your life and that you continue to be the man that you are. You know, taking Tobago to the world through your pictures.
And let me also say shout outs going out to Kerry Walcott. They're coming from your wife, Anisha Karut Walcott, and your entire family, wishing you the very best. I know they got you taken care of today as always. All right, continued blessings going out to you there, Kerry Walcott.
I think we should do this one together. We got to, this one is a big one.
In fact, I slipped in and I didn't even know at the moment. But certainly we want to say a happy birthday going out to our very own. And you got to say it, you know, you have to put on the finesse with
yes, of course.
Shanice
Lachman.
Indeed, wishing you a happy birthday and indeed God's blessings, you know, as you continue to go forward. And most certainly, I know these greetings are coming from your mom, your brother, the entire family, wishing you a happy birthday and continued blessings. We know that she's going to enjoy those celebrations.
That's right.
Hopefully, we might get the invite for drinks later.
We're hoping that we can.
No pressure at all.
No, I mean, she's one of us, guys. So we really want to send, you know, the best birthday shout out to our very own from all of us here, the family at Tobago Updates Television. Happy birthday, Shanice.
Yes, I heard a bottle popping there in studio, but it could just be my mind.
That's right.
This year, a very special birthday shout out indeed. You know, some know her as Miss, some know her as Auntie, some know her quite frankly based on her educational pursuits and her major impact on the education system. A former assemblyman there with us, Marcelin Melville Jack, yes. A lover of green. I always remember Miss distinctly for her service when it comes to sports. I mean, even beyond just education. And certainly this morning we want to take the time out. And as she would have said via her post, giving God thanks. Thank you, Lord, for your grace and your love. 66 not out.
And what a beauty at 66. Listen.
Amazing. Wow. Really testing that time. And indeed, you know, it reminds me of what my mother has always said. When you're living good.
Yes. When you're clean. Yes.
Indeed.
Yes.
So we want to wish you a happy birthday going out there to Mrs. Marcelin Melville Jack. Certainly continuing to defy the odds. Grace and excellence. Class indeed. Wishing you a happy birthday and continued blessings going out to you. And on screen, another one of our very own, you know, he gets in that support ground with Daddy on the left there from time to time. And this morning's birthday shout out is going out to Khalid Porter, wishing you a happy birthday coming from Mom, Dad, and you know, all those greetings and those the love certainly going out there to you as you continue to grow, you continue to strive, and you continue to achieve. Wishing you the very best indeed. And you know, we got to have in some good news, and we're starting this morning with some photos from Goodwood, and this is the Glamorgan Youth Foundation. And they would have had that took place over the course of the weekend. And this information came into us, and we really want to ensure that we share the good news. The Glamorgan Youth Foundation addressing the social issue by fostering educational, spiritual, cultural, and social, and recreational and economical activities. They would have had an annual evening out with the elderly. And that was an annual evening out with the elderly, a number of persons there, and we got some photos in the mix. And you know, you had that blend of young mixing with our seniors, that experience. And so on. We really want to send congratulations out. Our elderly have made significant contributions and significant strides. And this was a moment to have them enjoy themselves. You know, we continue to commend and encourage, in fact, other groups and organizations to do the same. So certainly we are shouting out this morning, the Glamorgan Youth Foundation.
I always love when young people appreciate the investment that the older ones make in us, the
Very
legacy
much
that
so.
they have left, you know.
Yes.
I really like when they embrace that. So kudos to you guys at the Glamorgan Youth Foundation for including and not forgetting our elders and giving them the honor that is due to them by giving them a good, relaxing and entertaining evening.
And I'm sure
day.
it was certainly appreciated.
That's right.
And we're also shouting out this morning, Scarborough Secondary School alumni. That's the Scarborough Secondary School alumni over the course of the weekend, hosted by our very own Candice Jackson. They would have hosted the Trolley Dash. And I think if my memory serves me well, this was the second edition that took place in keeping with International Men's Day. And therefore you had the focus on 3 male teachers there, you know, male exemplars are certainly really guiding the way there, males standing out at Scarborough Secondary School. And you see in photo here the combination of executive members led by coordinator Kevon McKenna and the entire team there, along with those teachers, for the trolley dash, where they would have gone through the aisles, and you're able, those baskets you see in front of them, they're able to take home again in recognition of International Men's Day. So commendations again going out. Another entity out there, the Scarborough Secondary School alumni, yes, near and dear to my heart. Yes, proud past student of Scarborough Secondary indeed. So Dana, who do we have on the rundown this morning?
Well, we're having conversations with Mr. Gary Griffith. Yes, we are speaking with former Commissioner of Police as we speak about the crime talks. Gary Griffith bows out of crime talks. So we're going to have that conversation. We've been hearing what's happening. So we want to hear from him as we speak on those matters. We also speak with Mr. Sean Roberts. He is the Managing Director of Tobago Recycling Resource Initiative. He was on the program before, and we spoke about a lot of exciting things that are happening. So today we're talking about, is the TRI in jeopardy? That is the Recycling Resource Initiative. Are they in jeopardy? So we want to know what that is about and what that conversation is going to be like. And wrapping up the conversations in the spirit of Christmas. The spirit of Christmas, yes. We're speaking with Kamaria Keynes Dumas Jack. She's the PTA representative of the Bishop's High School. And Samoria Idu, student. She's a student also at the Bishop's High School. She's CSEC 5th place on the merit list for music, right? And we're speaking about Where the Stars Are Born, Bishop's High School Christmas concert. Of course, we have to put in a splice of Christmas there as we head into the season. So that's how our conversation is going to be this morning here on the Tobago Updates show, the morning show on Tobago Updates Television.
Yes, indeed, a grand morning. And yesterday, folks, I spoke very quickly sending out my commendations to the Adventist faith on advancing and moving forward from a mission to becoming a conference. And therefore, you know, I got this photo that came in, and I certainly want to share it with you all as we send those commendations out. This certainly was the inaugural session of the Tobago Conference, certainly graduating and moving forward there of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And what we are seeing here is the leadership that will take things forward. So certainly we want to send our commendations there. Our president in the lineup, and that is Pastor Vishnu Persad. And then you have the full lineup of our executive members, Dr. Martin Cunningham, in terms of exec secretary, treasurer, Mrs. Karina Hosford Nero, and the full lineup there of officials in the mix, the likes of Pastor Lowell Otley, no stranger to us, you know, and the list goes on. We really want to take the time out this morning to send our congratulations coming from the entire Tobago Updates family and even my very own family to the team and the Seventh-day Adventist Church on advancing and moving forward, now being a conference, the Tobago conference, really shows that level of progress and continuing to distinguish that at the end of the day, Tobago can achieve anything that it sets out. And I really want to say commendations again in terms of this initiative. And we are certainly looking forward to be able to have discussions coming up in this week or perhaps early next week to chat with some individuals, executive members, on what this means, just kind of helping person to understand what this means for the Seventh-day Adventist Church here in Tobago, now operating as a Tobago conference, as a conference. All right, certainly kudos and commendations. All right, Adana. At this point, we are preparing, to head on into our first interview. But just before that, we take the break and we remind you viewers that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
The Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development has relocated its Crown Point office to Glen Road in Scarborough to better serve you, our clients. Our main office is located at the corner of Glen Road and Glen Road Branch Number 1, the building formerly occupied by Costat. Our grant and electrical inspectorate services can be accessed at Number 2 Montessori Drive in Glen Road, Building 1 and 2.
Hey, hello guys, welcome. Come have a seat. Oh, this is so stylish and I love the fabric. Darlings, you must tell us where you got your new furnishings.
We got them locally at Standard. They've got new chic European furniture, crafted from high quality material.
Oh, Standard?
No, it's Standard, their brand new Hive collection.
Experience luxurious European furniture at a price you will love. The Hive Collection, now exclusively available at Standard.
For 50% off plus a chance to win over $100,000 in prizes. Call 800-4663.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers. We just at about 7:16 a.m. this morning, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, indeed, as we continue to give God thanks. Those celebrating this season certainly do enjoy. Let's not forget to share with our neighbors, friends, community, and those others who may be in need, especially if we know that we have the benefit of more, and we know that we have the benefit of something. Let's remember that importance in terms of sharing. In this interview, we are heading into discussions with Sean Roberts, and he's the Managing Director of the Tobago Recycling and Resource Initiative. And, we're going to start the conversation a bit, and, we want to always put some perspective there for the benefit of our viewers and listeners. The Tobago Recycling Resource Initiative, we heard about this a few years ago. Tell us a little bit, when this was would have been established and so on. And why it, you found it important to kind of drive this mission. I know it was a kind of coming back home from doing things on the outside to really make this contribution to Tobago. Tell us a little bit about it, Sean.
Right. Morning, everyone. Morning, Tobago, Trinidad, rest of the region, rest of the world. Share the life, and compliments of the season. And just to tell you about the Tobago Recycling Resource Initiative, by the way, I'm the coordinator for, I'm the managing director for the private company that is a partner for TRRI, right? But TRRI actually was established on November 26, 2020. In fact, you was to be the host.
Definitely a part of
that event. And actually, in fact, it wasn't only the launch of the recycling venture, that was also the commissioning of the Tobago's first material recovery depot facility. In fact, Tobago is one of the first to actually have that sort of facility where multiple recyclables are delivered and processed under the same roof.
Yes.
As in Trinidad is more specialized material that is being handled. For example, you more have recyclers that deal with paper and cardboard, and some may deal with some plastics. But we are the few that actually deals with the wide range of plastics, the metal cans, Tetra Pak, cardboard, you name it. We deal with that. And we also do research and development and stuff so that we can also look at further processing our own recyclables here in Tobago so that we don't have to be reliant on the imports of raw material. So, in fact, when TRI was established, that was a public-private partnership between the Tobago House of Assembly and Recycling, Waste and Logistics Limited. It's one of the first actual public-private partnership that is being established in Trinidad and Tobago, where you're actually sharing the resources to share one common objective. And the common objective was to reduce 50% of Tobago's waste by 2025 and to become zero waste to landfill by 2030. That's part of the Sustainable Development Goals. And further from there, in February 2021, the Environmental Management Authority, with the Recyclable Solid Waste Collection Project, also known as IK, that is a green-funded national project.
Right.
So they joined as partners in the role of co-sponsors because it's a national initiative. So after establishing the 5 zones in which my company was actually a processor and a technical resource to that program, right, to that project in Trinidad. So having established the 5 zones, when TRI was established, that's where they was able to establish zone 6 of the IK project. So with that expansion, we had incorporated holistically the labor from the unemployment relief program, where they were exposed to a manufacturing operation. And we incorporated the litter eradication program. They deal with all the roadside cleanups, public bins, even after Tobago Carnival and Heritage and all that stuff. They are the ones that deal with all that cleanup. And when we had incorporated them under TRRI, their role was to separate the recyclables from the garbage. You're talking about when the recovery rate was 10%. As of today, the recovery rate is 60%. That's not going to study park. Now, with that expansion of the partnership where the 4 partners involved in TRI, as THA, EMA, Green Fund, RWL, we was able to get 40 of IKEA bins shipped to Tobago. And that fabrication and the signage was done right here in Tobago. Because as coordinator, I always believe that you must support local. When you support local, you boost local, right? And that is where you drive an economy. So the reason why the sector, I brought the entire plan to Tobago, was to be able to develop the new and emerging sector, which is what you call the green sector, to be able to let Tobago have something to say, that is our own. We realize that the sun and sea and sun tourism realize that you have a lot of competition regionally. So we have to have an industry that can bring a next set of visitors to Tobago, right? So, in fact, in 2021, we had received almost 200 tons of recyclables collected. That time we only had probably about 20 drop-off bins deployed from the IKEA bins. Last year, 2022, the recycling rate had increased to, let's see, more than 150 tons, right? So we still maintaining that quota where we hitting close to 200 tons of recyclables. In fact, collectively, as of today, we exported 100 tons of recyclables.
And that's the part I wanted to connect with as well. The work that you do is not only limited to here. Yes, you're correct. I've had the benefit of being there from as early as when this would have been established. And a very proud moment to see that we're moving in that kind of positive direction to the extent that you've been able to make those international type of connections as well. And I know even the potentials existing in the region where there have been discussions happening where people want to take it
and it continuing as we speak
and want to see the expansion happening. And just in case persons forget for a moment, the recycled bins that we have seen far and wide, you have had a number of NGOs coming on board to really make a difference. Indeed, commendations and really good work. So it kind of shocks me to see now, where are we at, Sean? What is this jeopardy that we are in, given such an integral contributor in terms of really putting at the forefront the need for recycling our environment and that greater knowledge and awareness?
Right. Well, just to give you, as you mentioned before, when the EME and the Green Funded IKEA project came on board in February 2021, in fact, the Green Fund had disbursed $5.212 million just for the development of recycling for Tobago. Right? So, during that time...
And who did the Green Fund disburse it through?
The EME. Because EME, that is their project. The IKEA project, that is the EME project. So, I've been around since before that was even established. It was first Plastic Heap. That was for the northwest region of Trinidad. And then when it got shut down, then the IKEA was established. When they ran into some problems in Trinidad, that is where I was called in to be able to help reform and fix that issue. So when we came to Tobago, they joined as partners, co-sponsors. So $5.212 million was established for Tobago. Up till April this year, we only received 30% of that budget. Right? So in fact, when you receive up to 30% of that budget, in fact, what we have been doing since we have received disbursements, we had made efforts to be fiscally responsible, because you see, people have to understand, I've been around with the Green Funded recycling projects since 2013. Late 2013, I've been around that. So what we have been doing is that we more focus on drawing down and spending based on documents. So it's basically when stakeholders do work, or when it have work stuff to be done, that is when we access every month just to take care of that. And that is how we keep going forward. So every December of each year, we have always had an unspent balance going forward.
Right.
So when you do it like that, you will always have a savings that should be available to be able to access. So, and late November 2022, we also did the same thing. We had an unspent balance going forward. Now, usually we go from December to November each year. But when from December last year, we were told that we can only go till April next year.
But by whom? Because we want to be
By the
very
EME.
clear.
By the
Because
EME.
this is an initiative that is
Yes.
really essential.
Yes.
This would have been started
Yes.
at a very crucial time. So you're saying as at that time, the funds that would have been received, as far as you are aware,
Yes.
through the EMA,
Yes.
would have been just over 5
million.
5 million.
5.2.
5.2 million. To the best of your knowledge, you all have only been in receipt of just about 30% of that thus far.
Yes.
However, the EMA has indicated that basically as at April 2023,
Yes.
the funding will no longer
Be
continue.
available. Yes. Until further notice.
All right. So, what steps have been taken in that regard? Has there been any inquiries with the EMA? What is the situation, etc.? Because this is very concerning,
Right.
and I'm really hoping that the powers that be, can really get involved in some way, form, or fashion.
Well, in fact, when we got the indication late last year, I've established my disappointments and concerns in that regard, because that was a lot of work went into it to get the Green Fund to approve that.
Yes.
Right?
And I remember probably even from as early as the time,
Yes.
also very passionate in this would have been,
Secretary
former
Devi.
Secretary Devi.
Yes, he actually was involved in that.
Very instrumental as well.
In that. So when we got through with that, and then to hear that is taking place, I told the EME straight up that, listen, the THA needs to be aware of this, because actually the signing parties for that agreement is the EME and the THA. They are the ones who sign every year in regards to that. Yeah. So I told them straight up that you have to everybody needs to be aware, because at the end of the day is that when stakeholders have expectations and they have plans, they need to know exactly when these things happen, how to make adjustments. But when you see now these sudden changes start taking place, then now is how are you going to inform the public of these changes? Because when you see those ripple effects taking place, then it can be chaotic. And when you see I must see that we've been grateful to that support.
Yes.
Because from where we started to where we are now, that seed funding assistance really helped to more stabilize the stuff. Because what was the concerning part? To be able to finish in April when you budgeted till November 2023, then now that is something that you have to now navigate, without that support, So that is where another thing that I want to bring to your attention and even the members of the listening audience, that in 2021, the EMA did their reports, the EMA did their annual reports, in 2021, for 2021. They did all these songs of praises for TRRI, as to where they show over 16,000 tons was disposed at the Study Park landfill. And they show the recycling rate was more than, was in the 150 ton range or something like that. So when you see how much was disposed at the landfill versus how much was diverted for recycling, it shows that the Tobago's waste started reducing.
Correct.
So when that started happening, even our spending with that seed funding started going down as well. Because the more that we from the RWL from the private sector make adjustments and do more exports and stuff, then now we start to now increase the savings, because the seed funding is more to be used when you have a shortfall, not to be able to live off of it. You have to be able to start weaning yourself out of it, and that was the intention.
Correct.
So when they show how the race was decreased, now for Trinidad, Swim Call is their partners, is EMA partners for IK.
Yes.
These will be the processors, right? In fact, we actually, RWL, have been also a partner as a processor for that IK project in Trinidad as well. So it shows where you're talking about over 300 tons have been diverted in Trinidad for recycle. And then now, when you look at the volumes of waste disposed at the landfills in Trinidad, it's increased. Now, in 2022, it shows they reported that the waste have been recycling rate have reduced by 34%, and because THA didn't report any waste data for last year. So that is why you see now I'm getting calls all the time because bins are being removed. Bins are being removed, and that was a decision from the Director for Environment, and even having a conversation with Secretary Pantin, even she and all still, you know, a lot of people not aware of that, but the public is watching, and they are calling all the time to know, hey, what is happening, you know. But we still have the plant in operation still as we speak. But you know, it's been a challenge since May, but we still make efforts to keep it going, because when you win the public trust, you have to maintain that. You know,
so this is one of those areas we're just out of time, but I really want to, you know, stress and to emphasize the need, indeed, for us to get the relevant authorities involved and coming up to speed with what is happening here, to see, to make some kind of intervention on behalf of this entity. This, you know, we saw, and I think naturally the Tobago population will tell you, you saw it definitely as a progressive move in terms of the environment and so on. I would be most disappointed, and I'm certain many others feel this way, if we are not able to see this successful continuation, growth, development, or anything progressively with this kind of initiative happening here in Tobago. And most certainly, I know we are out of time, but this is really a call on the relevant authorities to step in. EMA, if this is really so under the circumstances, we want you to uphold your responsibility, and let's see how we can partner to be able to move things ahead. And similarly, I'm calling as well, you know, in terms of the Tobago House of Assembly as a partner, you know, in terms of stepping in some way, form or fashion, and let's see how from your perspective we can seek to make a difference, because I know without a shadow of a doubt, for you to get to this point, Sean, it's really because it has been very concerning. Would you just want to share in terms of contact information just very quickly, because we're out of time, for anyone who wants to follow up as we really try to find some resolution to this matter?
All right, 242-5441, and just quickly, just a few seconds. You see, while you have the problem, you know, you have to have the solutions. I mean, in going forward, and it's something that Secretary Pantin brought to my attention, that we need to have representation from Tobago on the Green Fund. We need to be able, when you see you're dealing with seed fundings, that you draw down against documents, and also too, funders needs to do proper performance monitoring.
So they need to know what's happening, and probably that may be part of the rule. So we want to say thank you very much again to coordinator of the Tobago Recycling and Resource Initiative, TRRI, and, you know, partnering entities as managing director. You must know the name Sean Roberts, indeed. We want to thank you very much. And this is certainly a story that we will continue to follow as the Tobago Updates Television, to ensure that we need to know what's happening here. And you're even seeing the feedback coming in on the live, and persons messaging even privately about this scenario and reminding this is important and this is crucial, and we don't want to see it go in this direction at all. So EMA, if what is being said is true, the allegations, we are not accepting that. We're really calling, let's work together to make this happen, and we're calling also on the relevant authorities, the THA, etc. Let's step in as far as possible. Let's see what can be done to correct this situation. Viewers, we want to thank you so much again for your continued love and support. Thank all of those joining us on the live. I see orally in the mix this morning, Denisha. Hey, our very own Kwesi, certainly. Some somebody who I know for a fact is passionate about this. Giselle, Lonnie, Joan Phillips, Pierre out there with us. Kerry, we want to say good morning to each and every one of you. Lisa James, thank you for continuing to choose the Tobago Updates morning show. And most certainly we want to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good morning.
It's 7:38 a.m. viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show. I'm Julian Skeet here with you this morning, and we're heading on in. We have online with us Gary Griffith, former Commissioner of Police of Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning to you, sir.
Hi, good morning. Gary, I'm waiting on the 7:05 meeting, the interview this morning at 7:40.
I know you're always energized and ready, and we are thankful very much for the opportunity to have you on with us this morning. We're diving straight into it. The conversations have been happening. We have seen the documentation between the Prime Minister communicating with the opposition, and we have seen the communications happening regarding the crime talks as it is being described. You have recently taken a decision to bow out. Knowing your background, your knowledge, your experience, etc., we want to start there. What would have motivated this determination to bow out of crime talks, where it is, you had an excellent opportunity to make a contribution at that level?
Yeah, sure. Good morning. Well, the whole concept of the anti-crime talks involving politicians started with myself in February. I was the first person who came forward and offered to assist the government because of their inability and, if not incompetence, in dealing with the crime problem. So I started the ball in February this year. So if I was the person that was seen as starting it, I certainly didn't want to be seen as the person who caused it to end. Because what the Prime Minister has done is try to use me as a scapegoat, as an avenue, by shifting the goalposts and trying to blame me and use me as the opportunity for him to say we're not getting involved because of Gary Griffith. I think it is very unfortunate. It shows pettiness. It shows immaturity. It shows him having an inferiority complex or even being intimidated by Gary Griffith. You're a Prime Minister and you are uncomfortable to be talking to someone. It says a lot about you as a Prime Minister. It shows that you're a Prime Minister for anybody with a PNM party card as well, and which is unfortunate. That being the case, if it is that was being done, the opposition leader and myself, we had discussions and we said, listen, let's not give him that opportunity of a cop-out. I will step down and let us see what will happen now, because now he cannot use me as an excuse because he kept shifting the goalpost. It is unfortunate. I mean, throughout this whole crime talk, it has been politically aligned by the PNM to try to get political brownie points, and it has backfired. It started when it is Kamala Prasad-Bissess and myself, as I said, we offered. Keith Rowley went in a political meeting in Toko and said, not them too. I'm not interested with those. And that says a lot about him. Then after when it is the opposition leader wrote to him, he didn't have to have the common courtesy and basic protocol to respond. 3, he then went and had the Attorney General write to the opposition leader on his behalf, which is totally out of place. 4, the Attorney General has the audacity to give a deadline to the opposition leader. 5, they then go and they give an agenda. You set an agenda only with legislation. This should not be a subcommittee of parliament. This is a matter of legislation is a very small part to deal with reducing crime. It was the same legislation when I was there, and there was the highest reduction in violent crime in 17 years. And then 6, you have the audacity to then state, we will have 5 people and you will have 4. So you already want to have numerical superiority. And then you start telling the opposition who they must have in the meeting. So anyone who really cares about this country, anyone who really cares about reducing crime, anyone who really cares about democracy would have seen that the PNM is nothing more than a dictatorial party full of themselves. They did not want to deal with this situation. I have decided, listen, I am not going to give the government the opportunity. And if it is that Keith Rowley still continues to refuse, it will show that I was just being used as an excuse. He never wanted it in the first place. If he decides to attend, it will show how petty and small-minded he is, that he wanted to shut down crime talks to secure you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, because of his personal agenda against Gary Griffith, which sums up what Patrick Manning said about him 15 years ago. When it is he cannot have his way, you see someone full of hate, full of rage, totally out of control. And that is certainly not somebody that we need as a prime minister.
Has indicated that he doesn't necessarily need, to be a part of these initial talks. Are you saying that it totally sends the wrong signal if he's absent from the talks, or is it that when we make the connection beyond just Gary Griffith in this circumstance? I know that was one of his more recent responses in relation to advancing the issue of crime fighting and working together. What's your take?
Well, Keith Rowley is the only prime minister in the history of Trinidad and Tobago that boasts about him being the chair of the National Security Council more than him saying he's the prime minister. And I will trigger the minds of the country as the chair of the National Security Council, as the chair of the National Security Council. That's all he does when he bubbles his head and boasts about being the chair of the National Security Council. So for 8 years, you keep boasting that you're the chair of the National Security Council as if you feel like you're some type of Idi Amin and you're in charge of security of the country, which basically you're responsible. So you keep saying that. And now, more than ever, is the time for you to be able to show your worth as the chair of the National Security Council. And you refuse? This is not a time to delegate. This is a time to show leadership by example. You can't be the chair of the National Security Council and then you're not even attending a National Security Council meeting with the opposition. It shows, again, immaturity. It shows laziness. He probably knows that he'll be playing golf. He plays golf 3-4 days a week on the Mocha Golf Course with 40 special branch officers guarding him, which is more than all of the police officers that secure the Western Division at any given time. So I think it shows the character of the individual: laziness, ignorance in understanding your responsibility, and shirking your responsibility and not understanding leadership by example. You can't be the chair of the National Security Council, yet something of this magnitude, you're saying, well, I could delegate for these guys to attend. And the people he has delegated, as I said earlier in another interview, that those individuals, those ministers, they are as powerful and lethal and dependable as the batting lineup of the West Indies cricket team that took part in the ODI's World Cup qualifiers. So, to bring those individuals, that and nothing is the same thing. They are totally clueless. They do not know what to do. You have a Minister of National Security who doesn't know his role and function. You bring in a Minister of Energy in Stuart Young, who has a larger security detail 5 times more than the leader of the opposition. It is total madness that is going on. So for all the diehard PNM, I really want you to absorb what is happening right now. This is a prime minister who boasted that if he could get 10 Gary Griffiths, he could fix this country. This is a prime minister who told his attorney general, change the law because I can't afford to lose Gary Griffith because I never decided to reapply and renew my contract as Commissioner of Police. This was a prime minister that used me as the poster boy in the PNM manifesto in 2020 to state, we have been totally incompetent, but we gave you all Gary Griffiths to vote us back in. And this is the same person who's now trying to see me as a spectacular failure, even though it was the highest reduction in violent crime in 17 years, even though public trust and confidence in the police service went up to 59%, and after I left, it went down to 8%, even though 89% of the country, they were in support of me or had no issue with me returning, and my assessments were excellent by interviews and everything and to add the application. So there was nothing that he could have used to state that I do not want to work with Gary Griffith. I don't need friendship with Keith Rowley. What I was doing was trying to offer my services because of the incompetence of those persons around him who do not know what to do. So you would have seen what has taken place. I think that the Prime Minister should attend. If he does not attend, it is going to be a cop-out. It will show immaturity. It will show pettiness. It will show laziness. and it will show a prime minister who does not understand his role and responsibility and a very important aspect of leadership, which is leadership by example.
And I hear what you're saying, and we listen and we hear the Prime Minister and we hear the opposition. And for many just sitting out there, the feeling is naturally that ultimately, from the layman's perspective, it appears just very much to be a bit of playing politics in this circumstance. When we get down to some of the very real issues in terms of dealing with challenges, even we see within the very own police force, we have seen issues and challenges in relation to officers, etc. The issue with regards to in terms of illegal drugs, guns, and so on. Ultimately, is there any hope at all that we will get to that point of being able to deal with these things in a very real way, beyond what appears to be, as some would describe, a kind of very childish or political squabble, and then we may never get anywhere in terms of coming together?
Oh, well put. You summed it up. Yes, I give the country the assurance that can change, but it will change when the government changes, because that is all this government has done. They have utilized national security as a tool to try to target and political opponents. That is the reason why Keith Rowley, and let me take that back. This is the reason why the government has a problem with Gary Griffith, because I was not moving, not because of my performance, not because of crime reduction, but as I said, public trust and confidence, crime reduction, crime being done as a number 4 issue. It had nothing to do with performance, crime reduction, how the public thinks. It had to do with we needed a commissioner of police who must target political opponents and have them arrested. Only in a banana republic, only in a dictatorial country would a government give a commissioner of police $42 million and direct him that these funds should be used to hire attorneys and then make them SRPs so that they can investigate and arrest political opponents of the government. What madness is this going on in the country? Any other country, there would be a snap election after something like this. We sit down, we accept it, and we move forward. And so unless it is that the government changes, this is not going to happen, as you said, because the government has spent more time speaking about legal firearms. Legal firearms. We have over 520 murders this year. 458 have been by firearms. 457 of the 458 have been caused by illegal firearms. Yet we have not heard one comment by Keith Rowley or Fitzgerald Hines as what they intend to do to stop the problem of illegal firearms entering the country, or how do we seize the illegal firearms already in the country. All they speak about is legal firearms, which again was a typical PNM propaganda campaign. If you say the same lie over and over, people believe you. They use a Stanley Jockey John report littered with lies. It is rumored, it is perceived, and we have heard. They then hire, it is only in a banana republic that politicians will hire civilians, make them investigators, pay them hundreds of thousands of taxpayers' money, probably tell them to put what you want in the report, and then read it out and expect people to believe it. That is what he tried to do with the audit, and the court stopped him because we said they could not speak about it in Parliament. He wanted to go to Parliament because Parliament is the one place you can lie, smear the character of others, and not be sued, which is what he did with Emailgate. That is why he cannot speak about all of these lies in the Stanley John report and the audit report, because that is what he wanted to do. So he tried the red herring, it backfired, and that has always been the campaign of the PNM. If the PNM spends more time or as much time trying to deal with the problems that the country has, instead of using all their time to try to character assassinate, arrest, bad talk, destroy the reputation of their political opponents, this could be a better country. But that's all they do. Every time they speak, it's to attack, it's to destroy, it's to discredit, it's to character assassinate. And that is the typical PNM way. That is the Rowley PNM way, I should say. And the country is fed up of it. So they are not putting any emphasis on crime and dealing with it, because all they think about is that this might help the opposition. This might not make us look good. We want to spend more time trying to arrest the opposition members. That is the reason why the country can't go forward, which is why I offered my service to say, look, we cannot wait until the government changes in 2025 or before. We have to do it now, because by the time that happens, there may not be a country for us to try to serve anymore.
Morning, but thank you very much for sharing your perspective there, Gary Griffith, and we certainly look forward to you still making a contribution at some level, even if not at the level of the relevant talks that are due to take place. And I suppose we have to have some kind of hope, but I would dare say it isn't looking good at the moment, and I trust that the relevant politicians can step forward and let's go beyond just politicking. Once again, thank you very much, Gary Griffith there, a former Commissioner of Police, for joining us here on the Tobago Updates morning show. Viewers, at this point, we want to remind you, just before we head into our final segment, we take a break. And this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
This Christmas, speed is on us. Get up to 300 megabits per second of speed with our new Link Up Plus plan. Enjoy more speed, more channels, and free streaming for less. Plus, introducing Link Up More with up to 1 gig download speed. Download, stream, video call, share memes, and more. Get free installation when you sign up in-store or online today at discoverflow.co.
Welcome to Standard, and today we're launching High. It's our newest brand that Standard is launching, and it's where luxury meets affordability. We're very proud of this brand. It's taken some time to get the right collection in place, and we're also going to continue to improve on our collection as time goes by and we listen to our customers more. We've changed our suppliers for this collection to European suppliers, so you're going to get that European finish. We've been very pleased by some of the results that we've been seeing in terms and response to it in the market, and we're so glad to bring it to Tobago and show Tobago what Standard could, grow with them as well.
It's not just about looking good or having materials that are easily cleaned or sustainable materials, because the important thing about this particular collection is that it is quality. It is meant to last, and it lives up to the Standard name about never beating on quality and price. This furniture particularly, especially our outdoor line, which ranges from fiberglass, plastic types of outdoor stools, outdoor chairs, even the outdoor furniture, it is built to last.
That's the importance with High, right? It's not only looking good, it's going to feature things that make your life easier, and it's not too damaging on the pocket. That's important for us.
This furniture fits the lifestyle of Tobago, of the Tobago customer, of the Tobago guest. It is the perfect type of furniture for you.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. As we continue the conversation this morning, we are chatting with Bishop's High School, and we're speaking this morning in particular, Where Stars Are Born, Bishop's High School Christmas Concert 2023. On set with us, we have the music teacher, Evans Duran, and as well, let me make sure I get the pronunciation right. Duran Evans. All right, we have Duran Evans on set with us. We also have Kamara Keynes Dumas Jack, no stranger to us here at all. Today she's wearing her PTA representative hat, Bishop's High School, and also Samaya Edu, student out of Bishop's High School, CSEC 5th place merit list for music. We've got royalty in the mix. So this morning, folks, we're having that conversation, and let's get started immediately. We're talking Bishop's High School Christmas concert. What's upcoming, and then we're going to get into the details of what to expect.
Well, Bishop's High School, we're having our Christmas concert. Last year we started with the concert honoring Miss Gwyneth Armstrong, who started music in Bishop's High School. So this year we're continuing in the same tradition on the 3rd of December, Sunday the 3rd of December from 6 p.m. We will be at the Bishop's High School auditorium doing it all again and showing off the talents of the students of Bishop's High School.
All right. I want you to tell me a bit, sir, when you think in terms of where music has transitioned to, just before we came on, we spoke about if you went to Bishops any at all, I'm also a past student of Bishops, you knew then certainly whether you did music or not, you knew of Mr. Armstrong and you knew of Mr. Moore and so on, and you have taken on a heavy legacy there. But we know you will exceed expectation. Tell us a bit, how do you feel, in terms of going into this Christmas concert for 2023 and the work of your students?
Definitely. I feel excited because the students have been working and we hear the pieces coming together and we have a lot of practices and rehearsals. Actually, we start from early in the morning and at lunchtimes persons rehearse and even after school. So I feel very confident that the treat that is up our sleeves for the general public will be well received.
All right, certainly. I know we got to go on to the star student. Tell us about, going into that exam versus now being on the merit list. You always knew that was a given. Tell us a little bit about that. Was music always your thing?
Yes, it was. I grew up watching my father. He was a pianist and I just ended up liking it also. The preparation for the exam was very much hectic. I have another teacher that I used to go by to do the SBA. I used to prepare with Sir. I used to go to Mr. Moore also.
Right.
And during the exam period...
Legacy continues.
Yes. During the exam period, it was very much difficult. And I personally thought I was going to get a 3. But I ended up getting a 1 and I ended up making an merit list. And for that, I'm very proud of myself.
Excellent revelations happening here this morning.
Stars are born.
And we're seeing on screen where stars are born. And Kamara, I want you to begin to give us a little insight. We get there at 6 o'clock. I know these things are about an experience when it comes to Bishop's High. And tell us a little bit about what can we expect on the lineup.
So where stars are born, the reason why we gave that name is because this year, Bishop's High School, we have had a lot of successes, Somaya being our latest. And we have students who would have done very well in the Calypso arena. So we have the Junior Calypso Monarch, second place winner nationally from Bishop's High School. We have also the year before, yes. Calypso Monarch champion. We also had the Spoken Word Club from Bishop's High School winning the Poetry Slam, National Secondary School Poetry Slam earlier this year. And they will also be performing. If you ever saw that, it was Out of This World, STRESS. Good. So we have quite a few stars coming out of the school. So we thought Where Stars Are Born is the ideal name to give to the concert this year. So we bring in all those students together, along with the pan side and last year's merit list person was going to be part of that. We got last year merit in music also. And 2020.
Congratulations.
So the music program is really doing well. So the co-curricular part of Bishop's High School is really excelling, and putting it all together and giving the students an avenue for performing and next year's music festival. So this is the segue.
And I'm certain those words bring very great joy to Principal Cindy Ramnarayan out there. Kudos and commendations to you as always. That was my teacher back in the days there at Bishop's. So I want you to really touch on, because, one of the things that has certainly been wrong about the perception is that traditionally Bishop's is just exclusively about the academics. How important is it in terms of integrating your students, in terms of that practical side, music, and by extension, extracurricular activities that helps in their overall development?
Definitely. So with extracurricular activities, there's a certain kind of discipline that comes with it. The students also are able to present themselves, which that is a skill in and of itself. Also, where music is concerned, psychologically, it helps students to relax. It helps students to focus. Also, being involved in music, students are able to bring to their own lives something of value. Also, within the classroom setting, at Bishop's, we focus on music literacy, we focus on performance, we allow students to even do their own performances, come together in groups, both in the classroom and sometimes even for graduations, like each year group, it's like the desire of each year group to have like a band that goes along with their school song. And even where that is concerned, students are coming together and doing their own thing in conjunction with the structured music program. We even see that in our morning assemblies where it's quite musical. So right across the school, both in the co-curricular activity and within other areas of the school, you will see music and the talent of the students being showcased.
It really just speaks to the successes that the school has been able to enjoy over the years. Any others you'd want to highlight?
Let me just talk in terms of school. A lot of the students who are taking part in this concert are not necessarily the music students.
That's interesting.
So it just speaks to the program of that Bishop's High School encompasses all the different aspects and encourages students just to be part of music. And do the co-curricular activities.
Certainly, and immediately when she says that, I tap into you. What would you say about the music program from the perspective of a student?
I would say it's very diverse. It allows you to be versed in different things like choir, steel band. I learned pan from Sir. We also have YM drumming. We have...
They'll be on the program also, yeah.
Yes. We have wind band, which is now starting to become active again due to COVID. And I would say that it allows you to find your inner talent. Because for me personally, I didn't think I was talented at all until I discovered that I like music. So
you're on the merit list and you're here this morning, but I have to ask the obvious question. Will you be performing?
Yes.
All right, excellent.
I'll be a part of our ensemble.
Excellent. So we can look forward to that as well in the lineup. So, we're running out of time, but I just want you to let us know, tell us in terms of what can we expect in terms of the future of the music program and, that area of focus for Bishop's High School. No pressure at all. Your principal might be looking on.
All right, so in terms of where it is that we want to go on the co-curricular side, we'd really like to see an orchestra come out of Bishop's. As to say when or what the timeline is, no pressure, right? But we have had in the past a wind band arm of the music program. If it is that we could have the string arm of the music program come on board later on, then we could put the wind, the string, and the percussion together, and we would have an orchestra. So that is one of the many future things that we can look forward to coming out of Bishop's High School.
And the PTA working very hard to ensure that we can supply instruments through these events to help the music program develop in that regard.
All right, excellent. Yes. Any additional information you'd like to share with us, before we wrap this morning?
Definitely. Come to this concert on Sunday, the 3rd of December. It starts at 6 p.m. and it's going to be a wonderful experience. Those who study in their belly, yes, there'll be things there for you to eat. We're going to have a wonderful concert on Sunday. I'll be there. Will you be there?
Yes,
without a shadow of a doubt. So that's Sunday the 3rd. And for those who are tuned in, the cost for persons attending, and where can they get tickets?
Good. So $150 for adults, $75 for any student. Good. And they can come, they can get tickets at the school, or you can call 461-2314. And for any more information concerning the concert, and if you want tickets in bulk, that's the number to call, 461-2314.
And we didn't touch on it earlier, but I feel it's really important before we close. I always tell people, initiatives like these, you're making a contribution to something greater. And, it's not just about the money you're paying for the talent that you're getting. In terms of the PTA, just remind the persons again, in that contribution and the work of the PTA as you go forward.
So far we have contributed instruments towards the wind band. And so last year's concert, we did that, and we got those instruments for the school. This year, we're hoping to continue in the light, because they have a long list, as we heard, the programs that they want to develop, and the students are ripe to learn things new. So we're trying to see if we can also help. The pan side is a big part of Bishop's coming out of Mr. Moore, and then do not yet own their own instruments. So if we can have a sponsor, I'm speaking to the Tobago world out there.
Speak it into
Yes,
being.
I'm speaking it into being. If we have a sponsor to sponsor the instruments for our steel band, we will welcome it to come on board. But right now, we are raising funds at the Bishop's High School concert. So this Sunday, so come on, contribute, and let's get our students involved in something positive.
Certainly, and I think that flyer is very appropriate as we look to wrap this morning. You could not have said it better. Let me translate that for you. Even if you can't make it, buy a ticket.
Buy a ticket.
We're calling on each and every one of you. Even if you can't make it, buy a ticket. Make your contribution, and that's why it's so important. You're not paying for the music, essentially. You can't pay for the music that you're going to enjoy. What you're really doing is contributing to the growth and development of Bishop's High School. So that's happening there, and if we could just pull up that flyer again. Yes, it's taking place on a Sunday. And that's happening this Sunday, the 3rd of December, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., where stars are born. All right? And certainly that's Bishop's High School presents the annual Christmas concert. So we're encouraging each and every one of you to lend your support and to head on out. Where are you going to be on Sunday? Bishop's High School, certainly. So we want to remind you, if you want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you. This has been the Tobago Updates morning show, without a shadow of a doubt. And we're encouraging you. We had great interviews this morning, as per usual. We want to say thank you very much again for choosing the Tobago Updates morning show, and to stay tuned, because we're heading straight on over to continue with our series of Beneath the Surface. We're going to mix it up a little bit this morning, just as we head on out. Where are we going to be on Sunday? Bishop's High School. All right? And remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. Bye-bye, folks.
When you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Grow Smart. It's an initiative conceptualized by women for women. The NGO Women-Owned Media and Education Network, in partnership with the British High Commission, selected women from rural communities in Trinidad and Tobago to learn to, grow smart. Essentially, through the 6-week training, 10 female farmers and agribusiness entrepreneurs from Tobago will be empowered through training and education in sustainable and cutting-edge practices.
The UK's contribution to this creative thinking is to partner with our NGO called Women and to be part of the Grow Smart initiative. So this is to provide education and training to women farmers and would-be farmers and aspiring agribusiness entrepreneurs. You're going to get knowledge and skills and resources to help you implement sustainable and innovative agricultural practices.
Grow Smart intends to introduce hydroponic system design and construction, liquid and substrate-based systems, nutrient formulation for hydroponics, sanitation and biosecurity for hydroponics, introduction to aquaponics and organic hydroponics, and introduction to agribusiness and marketing. Today, as the Grow Smart initiative officially launches in Tobago, I reflect on the words of the late Nobel Peace Laureate and freedom activist Desmond Tutu. He said, if we are going to see real development in the world, then our best investment is women. For us in Tobago, roughly around 80% of our agricultural produce comes either from Trinidad or through Trinidad to Tobago. And so that dependency alone tells us that we are nowhere close to achieving food security and, more importantly, food sovereignty, which has to do with the island's ability to have a secure and safe supply of food at all times. You are now at the front of that battle for us on the island through the Grow Smart initiative. I believe you will do well in this program Here is an opportunity for you to broaden your skill sets as women. Here is an opportunity for you to create a legacy for your family and for your children.
These women will develop an agribusiness model around the new learnings, and the 6 of them will be given the opportunity to pitch their new business idea.
30 women in total are the beneficiaries of this program.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks a favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power. We are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers. We are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying. Tobago is number 1. I am you and you are me. Together we stronger. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Tobago.
Right, folks, good morning, viewers and listeners. I'm Jerry McFarlane, and this is Beneath the Surface. As you continue this series 2 of Beneath the Surface, as we bring to you and discuss and chat with all the members of the Tobago House of Assembly, in fact, most of them. And we started earlier this month, and we're going to end this thing on the 6th of December. And this morning, we have the distinct pleasure, I personally have the real pleasure of chatting with Councillor Tashia Boris.
Yes.
And Miss Boris, welcome to the program.
Good
I've been
morning.
looking forward to you coming to this program.
Good morning, Mr. McFarlane, and good morning to the Tobago Updates family. Good morning to Tobago and everybody who's tuned in wherever you are. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's we're gonna get straight into some issues here, and this program will be very inviting and talking about some hot issues. And
Okay.
tourism is a big issue.
Yes,
on
always.
this island, Tell us a little bit about your how you're managing so far. Just to start, how you manage, what your responsibilities are.
Oh, so I think I have one of the larger divisions that make up the Tobago House of Assembly that encompasses tourism, culture, a new addition in antiquities, and transportation. How am I managing? I'm surviving. I think that's the best way to put it. I just like my colleagues, not having any real experience managing or leading a division. I think a lot of us have very new political careers. But I have been working since I was 17 years old. Funny enough, I used to work with the former Secretary of Tourism, Ms. Tracy Davidson Celestine. I actually worked at the Department of Youth Affairs when she was the Assistant Secretary there. That was my last Tobago House of Assembly job. So I've worked in public sector, private sector, and what straddles two of the sectors basically for my entire working life. And I think those types of experiences have helped me walk into this role a little bit more prepared, I think, to treat with the challenges that we are facing. Certainly from the aspect of recovering the tourism sector post-COVID, as well as trying to transform the division into one of performance and productivity. That has been the hardest battle.
Yeah, I could well imagine. We'll get into that a little later. But you always come across fit and really prepared to handle whatever challenges came up in your division. But I want you to tell me first how you got prepared for all these things. I mean, you
I know you as a young girl, a student, and so on. And how you were prepared for this? You prepared originally that you're going to get involved in politics or law or something like that?
That politics was never my path. You know, I studied my bachelor's, so I have a bachelor's in information systems, and I have a master's in international marketing management. I always felt drawn to the tourism sector. I used to work at the port, but my first job was actually in youth work, and I had a deep love for working with young people. So I worked with the YMCA. That was my first job, and then I moved on to the Department of Youth Affairs for a number of years, and after that I started working at the Port Authority. Prior to getting into office, I worked at the Police Complaints Authority. So I've always been working with people and surrounded by the public in different ways, shapes and forms. But for me personally, I never looked at politics as a natural progression for me. I always felt that I should always reserve my voice to speak up on issues in general. I mean, if an administration is doing well, I would be the first to give them kudos and say, yes, job well done. You know, that was successful. I'm happy that it was successful, because once we are successful, everybody is successful. And certainly if things don't go so well and I felt that, you know, it could have been done better or handled better, I should be able to say, well, yes, that wasn't done so well. But I mean, aside from even just saying it didn't happen so well, also giving solutions or giving recommendations or suggestions as to how it could be done better. And I always felt like if I could keep my voice kind of independent of choosing sides. But for me, that change kind of came about in around 2019, thereabouts. And for me, getting into politics is, I always put it down to God. Is God put me here? Because left up to me, I would not choose politics. Left up to me, I think I had a very, very quiet, contented life and lifestyle before I got into politics. But I felt like if, you know, God put a calling on my life, and that is how I ended up in politics. And literally, I kind of heard his voice in my head saying, you know, this is what I have for you. Not necessarily promising that the journey would be easy. And certainly, by all accounts, from then to now, the journey has not been easy. But I would say that, I mean, it has been the greatest challenge of my life. It continues to be the greatest challenge of my life. And I think every day that I've started in this job, I've had moments where I felt like giving up. I've had moments when I was ready to write that resignation letter. I've had moments when I've expressed it out loud that I'm ready to walk away, because I feel like if I give so much and I'm so committed, and if I don't get that same level of commitment from the people around me, it really drains me. I could only do as much as I could humanly do. But if you're depending on other people to do their part, because no man is an island, a secretary is not a division. You know, a division has many moving parts, and everybody sees the face of the secretary. And if something goes right, sometimes the secretary is not even mentioned. Everybody else takes the kudos and stuff, and that's fine. That's part and parcel of the thing, you know. But when something goes wrong, you know, the secretary's name is the first name that is called. And the reality is that sometimes the secretary is nowhere close to where the thing happened in terms of what went wrong. And in order to fix it, it doesn't even involve the secretary either. It involves someone below the secretary who just simply is not doing what they're supposed to do. And that has been the biggest challenge for me, coming into a Tobago House of Assembly that I think still grapples with professionalism and still grapples with productivity. And it's a beast that we have to wrestle to the ground almost daily. I mean, I mean, for me, it's a learning process in terms of even how to lead, because sometimes you're tempted to let your emotions get the best of you. You want to cuss people, you want to, you know, get on bad and whatever. But I think I've been doing well so far in terms of not letting people see that side of me. But I'm hoping, I'm really honestly kind of hoping that the persons who work in the Tobago House of Assembly understand that they are not aliens from Mars. The people that they have to impact are their fellow Tobagonians, you know, their family, their friends, their neighbors' children, you know, the society as a whole. And if we talk about wanting to progress Tobago, it's not 16 representatives on this side of the administration who have to progress Tobago. It's all of Tobago. It's all of us have to get together to do the work that needs to be done. And simply just absolving ourselves personally from responsibility and saying, well, always a politician, always a secretary, or that's not enough, because a secretary could only do so much. It really has to take a team effort, and it's getting back to that place where people understand that they're part of that team And only when we work together can we be successful together.
Yeah, you always have a very outspoken way about you from small, and very candid about your views.
Yes.
And straightforward, even if you burn people along the way.
Oh gosh.
But let us start for a little bit from when you're young, how you were brought up, and how your parents maybe prepared you for this kind.
Oh gosh.
Prepared you for life, I should say.
Well, my father has really been, I think I have, as I grew, I realized that I have a very homogeneous mixture of both my parents. So if anybody knows my mother, they can see my mother in me in terms of that outspokenness and that being very candid and straightforward. And even when I get a little upset, they see Patsy in me. Yes. But my father, however, was really the one who I think molded me into this path. I don't think that he necessarily saw me going into politics, but one of the things that he cultivated very early in me was this love for reading. So in terms of him religiously buying all the papers every day, and I would sit and I would learn to read the papers and then read the papers religiously after him every single day, and then we would have discussions about what I read. We would talk about current topics. We would talk about what's going on in the world.
Your father was self-employed?
No, my father was a fire officer for many years. So he, really had a love for reading, and the one thing that we had to watch in the house was the 7 o'clock news. Regardless of what you were doing, you had to stop what you was doing to watch the news. And from a very young age, it cultivated this love in me for, generally learning about the world around me, learning about Tobago, learning about Trinidad, learning about this country that we live in. And a lot of what I learned about this country, I didn't learn in textbooks, because the history of Tobago is not largely taught in schools. However, when I was in school, and, I used to go to Scarborough RC School, one of the best schools on the island of Tobago, and I had some of the best teachers, like Mrs. McFarlane and Miss Dillon and, Miss Spencer and Miss Waldron and Mr. Phillips and all of these teachers, Sir Acqui, may he rest in peace. And they really kind of, aside from teaching the curriculum, they kind of encouraged us to also learn about Tobago. And that was the beauty about, I think, growing up back then. And then obviously they encouraged a lot of extracurricular and co-curricular activities as well. So my father is the one who I would debate with. Yes. So my dad was the one that I would debate with. So we would have long conversations, hours long, about different topics, and we would move from one topic to the next. So that is why it comes natural for me to just be able to carry on conversations for any length of time, because I really had that experience growing up with my dad. So when I went to him and said, I want to go into politics, he was the first person to jump up and say, yes, I'm behind you, I'm backing you, 1001%. And he has been one of my biggest cheerleaders from that day to now. So I always
remember you at your valedictorian
yes.
at Bishop High School. What do you remember about that occasion?
Still I Rise. I used that poem from Maya Angelou in my valedictory speech that day. And, I could distinctly remember being all of 16 years old. And trying to project myself into the future, asking myself, where would I be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now? And even that little girl in her wildest imagination could not imagine me being in the place that I am now. But it also feels that this is very, very purposeful. That is why I always talk about God's hand on my life and the fact that He has just simply been leading me throughout my entire life. All of my experiences have contributed to the person that I am today. Every single one of my work experiences have been brought to bear in me trying to do all that I have to do to get the thing going and to be successful. And, recognizing, that this is not it for me. I don't honestly perceive that I would have a long political career. And this is me. People already start to ask me, you're thinking about general again and, THA. And I'm like, no, I'm not thinking about these things because I like my peace. I give myself these huge tasks because I feel that I can't fail. I can't fail because if I fail, Tobago fails. And if not me, who? And that is as arrogant as I would get. because I feel that I'm put here in this time to do a particular mission. And I believe
that kind of focus and determination.
I need to
especially
finish
with the leadership.
I need to finish the mission. That's the most important thing. Whether you like me or not doesn't matter. Whether I like you or not doesn't matter, because my like is for me. But all I want is people to understand that everything here is bigger than us. It's not about who did it. It's about all of us collectively doing it together. Because success is a collective. It's not a singular thing. It's not a one-person show. Nobody does anything by themselves. We have to get where we have to go if everybody gets on the same page. And the faster we get on the same page is the faster we get to where we need to go. And that's the simple thing that I want to teach. The simple lesson in all that we do. I want to be able to retire from politics in 2 years' time and live in a Tobago where the people are happy, where the basic needs of every single person who lives on this 65, out of this 65,000 plus population on this 116 square miles is met, where people have options. They could work for the THA or they could work for the private sector, where we have a university where our children don't have to leave Tobago to go and study in Trinidad or study somewhere else, that they could stay home and they could get a high standard of education just like anywhere else in the world. That we can balance wanting to have a tourism sector with preserving our culture, preserving who we are, preserving nature, still being able to offer the best of us to the people who choose to visit us. That we have zero crime, because we have rebuilt the family institutions, rebuilt the communities, that the church once again becomes the center of society the way it used to be. That is the Tobago that I want to live in.
Yeah.
And if we could get there very quickly, I'll be very happy, so I could take a rest.
You have to, your fantastic ambitions and plans on what you would like to see this Tobago look like in the future, now and going forward. It has to be accompanied by some particular plan.
Yes.
How you work, for example, you have a public service, it's public service you're doing already, people call it politics at that level.
Yeah.
But how you work with your public servants to achieve some of these beautiful ambitions that you have.
I would tell you, and this might be the most controversial thing that I would probably say, so I'm going to put out the disclaimer very, very early. I think that the public service needs to be abolished, honestly, because I think that the creature that the public service has become can no longer serve the needs of the society that we have to grow. Now, I'm not saying fire all the public servants. That's not what I'm saying. I'm being very
to say totally reform the public service.
I don't even want to say reform. I say abolish, because the reason why I say abolish is because when you think about how technology has evolved, it used to take 20, 30 years for new technologies to come in and replace what was there. Now technology is being churned over every 2 or 3 years. Every time you see a phone gets a new update every couple months. When you look at iPhone, the iPhone situation, you have iPhone down to however many versions of iPhone now, because technology is turning over faster. The thing about the public service is the public service, and you now have artificial intelligence. When you look at the public service was created way back when there was no technology around. And now what you're trying to do is retrofit the public service to be responsive to the evolving needs of society and be responsive to the evolving situation when it comes to public administration. But the reality is this: it is no longer simply acceptable for someone to come into the public service with 5 O-levels as a clerk 1 and get to the highest levels in the public service without ever having the opportunity to get more qualified or to get exposed or to get to utilize newer technologies. I mean, when you look at how the public service is, it's almost like an unwieldy animal, and we're trying to cut it and contrive it to fit into new realities. The reality is, for the Tobago space, maybe what we require is a service that is able to evolve with the ever-changing needs of the administration.
But until such time that the Constitution don't provide for the public service and the administration of the public service, maybe you have to work the public service to get what you want out of the public service, maybe within the law, or maybe stretching the law to some extent, because the Constitution provides for that, and that is why I would prefer to see a serious reform needed in the public service. And it must must be public service centered in the true meaning of the word.
I have a question, right? Who makes up the public service? Not people?
Yeah, people.
We're not talking about robots here. It's not about going behind a panel and programming someone to all of a sudden smile when people come to the desk and answer the phone pleasantly, and to move the things along the line in a timely manner so that things are not piling up and stuff. The things that we come up against as obstacles is largely related to the humans in the system. How do you change the humans if you have entrenched certain types of behavior or culture them in a particular way over a period of time? In other words, it feels like if who want to walk and who ain't feel like walking still getting paid. That's what it is. So any amount of law changing and that kind of thing might only treat with things, I think, in a very cosmetic way. But until, one, we make productivity, the conversation about productivity, pretty much the center of what we try to do. How do we measure productivity? We have to also look at reward schemes, because certainly I think public servants feel like if they're not seen compared to contract workers, they're not remunerated on the same scale. They feel like if, they're almost like at the bottom of the ladder in terms of benefits and that kind of thing. And those things are valid. Those are very, very valid. So when you talk reform, all of that has to be in the conversation in terms of being able to pay people what they're worth, or pay them based on what they have to do, the kind of decisions they have to make, the expectations that we have of their role. But in addition to that, that has to also be tied to productivity. We can't just simply say we're going to pay you based on the rank that you have reached, but then you get there and you do nothing. That doesn't make any sense, because at that level, exactly,
and you have to be accountable.
Exactly, so that productivity and accountability have to be in the room at the same time. And as long as we're not talking productivity and accountability, then we're not really getting anywhere fast. We're just literally kind of pleading with people. We're begging people, oh gosh, well, do this, do that, and it takes so much. It takes so much from us to get people to do simple tasks. Nothing is complicated. People who exist at the level of most divisions are not doing complicated things. They are doing the same things over and over again. And I understand that fatigue can set in. You could get tired of doing the same thing. So what we also have to talk about is how do we transition people out of where they're at to where they ideally want to be. People have to understand, what is the thing that makes me passionate? Because I don't expect a Clerk 1 to stay, or a BOA 1 as a contract officer, to stay as a BOA 1 for the next 15 years. That there's no growth in a person in that. If you're doing the same thing over and over for 15 years.
The same thing in the same way.
Yes. So we have to, I think it all starts with the person. We have to aspire to be more. Because before I became a secretary, I was an administrative officer in the Police Complaints Authority. But I felt that that was not the apex of where my life had to go. I did my master's, I did my bachelor's, and I was still on the hunt for other opportunities wherever they cropped up. And sometimes you may have to come out of your comfort zone. When I was working on the port, I was permanent. I left that because I felt like if I got to the place where I couldn't give any more and it was really draining, So sometimes when the balance is more negative than positive, you have to decide what is good for you as a person. So I walked away from a permanent job because I felt that that was not necessarily the apex of me. And I can tell you, after being a secretary, I could probably go and sell fruits by the side of the road and be very, very happy. Because you know what? It's not even about your position in life. Positions are temporary. It's not going to be on your gravestone. Your gravestone will have your name, the date you were born, the date that you died, and probably rest in peace or we love you or something like that. But it doesn't tell the story of who you are. You have the pen. You write the story. And I feel like if, as people, we've stopped dreaming, we've stopped aspiring to be more, that we've just satisfied ourselves with simply doing the day-to-day things. And we don't dream anymore. When you're young, you're watching TV, and I wanted to be a million things when I was a child. I wanted to be a lifeguard because I used to watch Baywatch, and then I read about Greenpeace, so I wanted to be an environmentalist. And there was a point in time my dad wanted me to be an actuary, and I didn't even know what that was. But, I went from, a lot of different things, But I realized you always end up where you need to be.
They're telling us we have to go for a break now because the line's heating up in the place.
Oh, boy.
But we go go for a quick break and we come back with us and we continue chatting with Tashia Boris, called Councillor Tashia Boris, and we Secretary for Transport and Tourism and Antiquities and all that stuff. When we come back from the break, we continue this.
And the most vibes, and the most cars, and the most price. The most giveaways, the most parade. Having a Christmas season with me mobile. I want a Christmas season with me mobile. Bring the sorrel every toast to a Merry Christmas. Having a Christmas season with me mobile.
Top up, buy a plan, sign up or pay your bills. Enjoy the best Tobago Christmas. Be mobile. Life is on.
The Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development has relocated its Crown Point office to Glen Road in Scarborough to better serve you, our clients. Our main office is located at the corner of Glen Road and Glen Road Branch Number 1, the building formerly occupied by Coastal. Our grant and electrical inspectorate services can be accessed at Number 2 Montessori Drive in Glen Road, Building 1 and 2.
Hey, hello guys, welcome. Come have a seat. Oh, this is so stylish and I love the fabric. Darlings, you must tell us where you got your new furnishings.
We got them locally at Standard. They've got new chic European furniture, crafted from high quality material. Oh, Standard?
No, it's Standard, their brand new Hive collection.
Experience luxurious European furniture at a price you will love. The Hive collection, now exclusively available at Standard.
Yeah, we're back, folks, and we continue chatting with Tashia Boris here, Councillor Tashia Boris. You know, we have to look at the level of productivity in a real serious way, you know, and we have to do that before we get to some of the main issues we want to talk about. Because without dealing with these things up front and to be frontal with it, you know, we just kind of spinning top in mud. All your brilliant ideas, not just from you, but other secretaries and even some members of the public service in their way they want to reform the service as well. You know, we have to tackle the thing head on.
Yes, we do.
And we have to find a way to get people, whether we are bringing a consultant to look at the whole thing. Look how much studies has been done about the public service over these years, since I could remember, and start looking into politics and the administration of the country, and then the emergence of the THA and all of that. So many things has been done. Reggie Dumas and a set of other people. There's a minister called Gordon Draper and so on, who are looking seriously at reforming public service. And I don't think it has gotten very far. What people has become more too comfort in the level of productivity.
Right.
You know, that is almost second to none. You don't see this level of unproductivity anywhere in the world that I could remember.
Well, if the Tobago House of Assembly was someone's private business, it'd crash by now because...
Yeah, they would not tolerate that. They would not tolerate that.
And it's not even about tolerate. I mean, when you look at productive hours, and let's just make a quick calculation, right? You're supposed to come to work at 8 and leave at 4. Now, I don't keep those hours. My hours are strange hours. Some days I work 12 and 16 hours, some days but I'm always working. I work every day. So even if I'm not in office, whether I'm in office or not, I'm always working because there's always something to do. There's always something to do. But when you look at the average member of staff, they're supposed to work between the hours of 8 and 4. Most people don't get to work till 9. Because why? We have to drop off children, all of these things, you're in traffic, whatever. So you get to work at 9. And when you get to work at 9, you have to have breakfast. Breakfast is between 9 and 10. So you're eating, you're checking your phone, you're the alignment by your desk, whatever. So 10 o'clock, you might start work. You might pick up a physical paper or a file or something like that. But then by 11:30, you're looking to go for lunch. You're ready to pick up your bag and go. 11:30, you go out the road. You go and stand up in a line, you go in the bank, you go and buy something, you go and hang out with 2 people. By 12:30, you're back in the office, but you bring back your lunch to eat. So then that means you take another hour from 12:30 to 1:30 to eat said lunch. So lunch is from 11:30 to 1:30. And then at 1:30, you might pick up another file, you might move another piece of paper, but by 2:30, you're ready to go and pick up them children. So how many productive hours have you gotten in one day? Essentially, probably 2. So when you look at an 8-hour average workday, and you can actually see that there are some people who do nothing for the entire day or only get 2 productive hours, and there are some officers who I can say work that entire 8 hours work, but the disparity between the number of those people versus the rest of people is too large. You cannot in an organization have too many people having too much idle time because you don't get paid for idle time. You get paid for productive hours. And that is one of the changes that has to happen in terms of how people view their work. People have to be...
It has to be measured. It has to be...
And that is what I was about to say. So for example, if it is that, and that is why, you know, we have to make the whole thing, there's a scientific element to the whole thing as well. Because if a clerk has 10 files on the desk, and depending on the complexity of the files, you're going to take maybe like 20 minutes to treat with a file. Then it means that in any given day, you're supposed to be treating with 15 files, 20 files in any given day if you're doing productive work. But then you have some situations where people have files on the desk for months, and they pile up so much, they just put them in a drawer and forget them. And it's until something happens or somebody requires the file or until somebody makes a query that you realize that this thing has been sitting on someone's desk for so long, but that also speaks to lack of supervision. So there's a number of challenges that exist within the system. But I would say that, again, it all comes down to the person. Because the individual. Because at the end of the day, you could put a lot of rules in place. You could start to do measurements, you could do electronic clocking system, you could put cameras over people's desks to see what they're doing, you could ban phones in the workplace. You could do all of that.
The supervision and the measurement is lacking.
All of that. But again, I can tell you that when I was in primary school and I was being taught penmanship by Mrs. Dillon, if that F was not straight, that L didn't go all the way to the top of the line, you were sent back to do it. And you did it until you got it right. And that you learned to take pride in the work that you did. And I think that that is what we are missing. We no longer have pride in what we do. So that the thing could go halfway. The thing don't have to go at all. It's not me getting cussed. I getting cussed right now for heritage payments. A secretary don't sign checks. A secretary don't work in the accounts department. I don't work in registry. But when you find out what is at the crux of the problem, several people are not doing what they're supposed to do. Several things fell down over the course of a particular period of time, and that has led to a particular situation. A secretary is now asked to fix that. But if people were simply doing what they were supposed to do from day one, we would not have this issue. And for me, I think that we have to learn.
The client not sending in the invoices and the requests.
Yeah, but even if that is the case, right? There are people who have. Why are those payments being held up because somebody else didn't do what they were supposed to do? There's no excuse. There's none. And I'm not even trying to proffer an excuse. It should not be happening. It shouldn't be happening. Because everything that we do impacts on this Tobago. The Tobago House of Assembly is a small subset of the island of Tobago as a whole. And if the Tobago House of Assembly is largely inefficient, and that inefficiency can be fixed, it means that Tobago will be better for it. Because all the people who have given us goods and services, who are waiting on their money to buy groceries, to buy books for a child, to pay a medical bill, to pay rent, they shouldn't have to wait 6 months to get paid. Somebody who has a small business who is waiting on a payment shouldn't wait 6 months to get their money, because we never pay market value for anything. When I take 6 months to get my check, you really think I charging you $10? Nah, you will pay $20 because I have to wait. And we pay out of our nose for those efficiencies. And it's cheaper for us to fix those efficiencies because we will save more money in the long run. But again, it comes back to people. Are we taking pride in ourselves as people? And for me, I take pride in what I do. I'm not saying that everything that I do is perfect. Trust me, there are many things that I've done that don't ever come out the way that I hope. But certainly, I give my all. I come to work every day giving 100%, even if I don't feel 100%. Because at the end of the day, it's not about me. I always think about the fact that if I don't show up, something is delayed. If I don't sign something, someone else can't do something that is critical to them. If I don't make a decision on something, it holds back somebody else. And everything is time sensitive. Everything is mission critical. We don't have time to waste. So the quicker we could get on board with where we want Tobago to go, this idea of the greatest little island on the planet, people have to live, eat, and breathe that.
Yes,
and if we start to breathe that, if we start to say, no, my job is to sweep this floor, and I had to make sure I could see my face in this floor, because I take pride in the work that I do. So everybody pass, they go say, yeah, it's really Miss Boris pass and sweep that floor, because they know the floor is well swept. And that is the same attitude that we have to bring to everything we do, no matter how small. Yeah?
Yeah. But let us go quickly to some other areas because you're running out of time. But I think what you said have to be said, and people have to understand that they have a role to play in developing this little island. Yes. It had to be the best island on the planet. Yes. You know, your part of your responsibility deals with quite a few 4 big things, and I like how there's a linkage between all these: the antiquities, the culture, the transport, the tourism. I love that. But how can you? Let's deal with culture. How can you make or develop cultural activities into a more socio-economic event? So, you know, not just people going to perform, but have an event. Like, you know, you have other events, your cultural events, your Blue Food is a major cultural event mixed with agriculture and processing and so on. Activity. So you're going to continue doing things like that to promote not just having a cultural performance, but making it socio-economically benefit to the community.
I would tell you that I think that is the idea, the thought process behind most people when they hear culture. They only think performance, or they think entertainment. Culture is not just performance and entertainment. So to answer the question that you posed in terms of what more can we do to encourage people to participate in culture, one of the policy shifts that I have put in place in terms of the work of the Tobago Festivals Commission, especially with this new board, is that their focus would be on growing our indigenous festivals and giving support to new products that are cropping up in this space, whether those new products are created by other divisions like the Lamb Fest, for example, or whether they're private persons who are coming in the space and doing their own events, how we provide support to those kinds of activities. But really, you know, how do we amplify what is indigenous to Tobago? Because again, we have to put a spotlight on what makes us unique. So for example, our harvest festivals, our fisherman festivals, these things have been around for a number of years. Do we know the history behind it? Do we know the foundation of why it was created? I mean, they have evolved over the years to become huge events in communities and very, very popular in the Tobago space. But I think that we have a responsibility to ensure that there is preservation of the aspects of that relate to the history of the thing, doing. And two, we have to look at the fact that we have these products that are already there that could become economic drivers, that could bring communities together, that could show up the fabric of our society in a stronger way. And how do we provide the kind of support that is necessary to ensure that they evolve in a positive way? That's one. Secondly, the role of culture in general. And again, I think most people think that culture is just simply entertainment. So there are two different aspects I'm talking about here. One, the entire orange economy and the ecosystem of what the orange economy looks at. So you look at the different types of performance culture. You look at talent, and Tobago being an incubator of talent. And that's the work of TPAC, to be an incubator of talent. Because we have talent all over. Some of it, people go to school and they hone their talents. Other places, it's in its rawest form. How do we dig out that raw talent? How do we expose them to like-minded individuals? How do we get iron to sharpen iron? And then how do we export those talents to the world? Because we don't want to
market it as a marketable product
and export. Because you don't want all the talent to stay here. You want to be able to, because if Winston Duke had grown up in Tobago, he would have never been in Black Panther, because somebody would have told him that he should go and be a doctor or a lawyer. So we have to recognize that even amongst us, among our children and among our peers, there are people who have particular kind of talents that are not mainstream. These people will not be made to go into mainstream jobs. How do we encourage these people to hone that talent? How do we expose them to the places where that talent could now redound to their benefit? And I mean, people like Winston Duke, I think, are a story that needs to be told. Sometimes we literally have to send our children in places where people could recognize the talent they have, and they could go on that path and go on their stream. But my colleague has talked about reforming the education system that speaks about, harnessing talents of young people very early and putting them in certain tracks, technical track, non-technical, sporting, creative. So that is some work that we have to do at that level, as well as culture and antiquities comes into the conversation there. How are we preserving our culture, both tangible and intangible? Because we are losing our living legends.
You want to describe antiquities for a lot of people?
So antiquities encompasses that idea of tangible, as I said, that what you could touch, feel, move with, living monuments to history and heritage and culture, and the intangible, the songs, the dances, the things that you can't necessarily put your hand on and touch and feel, and everything that makes up Tobago's history, who we are, where we've come from, from the time that we were discovered to the time we were fought over, to the time that we were next to Trinidad, and even now as we're evolving as a people, a repository of all of that information. So antiquities is concerned with...
So you have a specialist now in the division dealing with
that? We have a technical advisor who is responsible for building out our antiquities division in particular, because we have to put an administrative...
That is a welcome thing, is a new approach to having greater respect and understanding of that little...
Well, when you look at how antiquities as an area has aided tourism, and the best example would be the pyramids in Egypt. When people think about the country of Egypt, the first thing that comes to mind is the pyramids. And the pyramids are a living, monument to antiquities. It's a gigantic set of antiquities, which are relics, which are artifacts. And how do we now, as Tobago, we have beautiful history all around us, from sugar mills to water wheels to the aqueduct to old churches to those old clapboard houses to all these copper pots that used to boil sugar. All of these things are in and around the space, and a lot of people may not be aware of the historical value of these things. But someone, and not just someone, there's a whole market of people that visit destinations to simply immerse themselves in their history and their culture. And by having this antiquities unit created for us to now take a very proactive approach to the preservation, restoration in some cases, because there are some instances where they're in dilapidated condition and we have to work to restore these things. Even getting persons who may have some of these artifacts on private land to understand the value of what they would have, and for them to see and, assist with that preservation as well.
It is so sad that some of these things were taken up as scrap iron.
Yes. So even putting these policies in place to protect what we have so that people understand how valuable it is. I mean, there are some people who believe that the past is in the past and it should stay in the past. But if we don't have an idea of what happened and where we came from, then we may not have an idea of where we should be going or where we should go. And we are doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past if we're not sure what happened before our time. And there is value. There's always value in being able to tell our stories.
Always dream of having one of those, either the windmills or one of those other, what you call
a
it?
Sugar mill. And,
sugar mill and have the whole process, you know, actually live the process, see this big wheel moving, and taking up water and then causing it to move and so on, a stream running on the blades of this fan.
And that is not far-fetched at all. I mean, when we think about new attractions, then we can talk about bringing back some of these old artifacts to life. And, you know, I mean, the landscape now is ever changing because, again, as I said, Tobago has to be able to put its head above water when it comes to tourism. What makes us unique? So it can't just be sun, and sea. You can't sell sun, and sea 365 days in the year. You have to be able to say and amplify what else makes you special. And there's so many things that makes us special, so many things that are unique to us. And we must be able as a people to tell those stories.
Let us go to some of the things. Blue food, do you have any change to make with blue food and heritage, or any suggestions how we're going to reform blue food or make it even better?
So, I mean, I'm always of the view that communities need to own their products. I mean, Blue Food celebrated 25 years this year.
It's 2 days or 1 day now?
It used to be, I think they toyed with a weekend thing and that didn't really to work out, so they went back to the 1 day thing. What's happening with Blue Food is that we're currently building out a permanent Blue Food site. So that will be the same area. So next year you're going to have a proper Blue Food build out. It will no longer be tents and, you know, bringing in stage and stuff. All of there will be permanent fixtures, landscaping, that kind of thing.
Money for that?
So the money will come, the Lord will provide. But it's already in construction. So it should be finished, I think, somewhere early next year for us to be able to cut a ribbon and say this is a permanent Blue Food site. But more than that, I think that I see the festival.
And it caters for things, a basic thing like parking?
Yes, all of those things, all of those amenities would be part of the thing. But in terms of the actual festival itself, I mean, I would want to see, honestly, that an entire industry grow out of the thing. Because I think the idea of having the event, having the festival, was one to showcase the versatility of the product, the versatility of the root crop. But more than that, are we exporting? You know, are we going into export markets? And for me, the event is one thing, and that's good. It's great. It has grown over the years. It has its market now. It has its place in the calendar.
A distinct linkage with agriculture.
Yes.
So we must not hear people saying, well, you know, I want to bring in Dasheen or bring in something from outside. And
So where are the fields of Dasheen that we are growing? Where are the different species that we are cultivating? Who are we exporting to? Is Tobago becoming the breadbasket of Trinidad and Tobago again? Because we once were. I mean, the idea is to not just have a festival for 1 day a year, everybody go up to Bloody Bay and eat and have a good time. But how are we creating sustainable jobs out of this thing? And there must be a sustainable industry that has to be created. So that even if you're not talking about the raw product, which is the Dasheen in the ground, how are we advertising or creating a cottage industry out of the things like the breads and the cakes and the pones and the different things that we have been able to create with the Dasheen, the ice cream, and who are we advertising and who are we selling these products to?
And can we make these things in the necessary quantities and quality so that we can export them and have them?
So for me, it's not just enough to have the event. We need to create sustainable jobs, sustainable community tourism out of the thing. Because one of the things that we're going to put a lot of emphasis on this fiscal year is building out sustainable community and community-based tourism. And the Blue Food is a very good example of where we can start, because the community of Bloody Bay could now be growing the crop, reaping the crop. They're now taking the crop and turning it into the different products. Those products are being shipped throughout Tobago in different supermarkets and in different places for people to buy. So if you're in Tobago in May and you want to taste Dasheen ice cream, you must be able to walk in Penny Savers and buy Miss Chance Dasheen ice cream. You shouldn't just have to wait for one day in the year to eat this Dasheen ice cream. We must be able to see it on shelves. We must be able to go in Massey in Trinidad and see the Dasheen bread and the Dasheen cake and the Dasheen pone and the Dasheen ice cream and all of these things. And we know that it is made in Tobago. How are we getting people into processing? How are we getting people into supplying the raw materials? So yes, the excitement is generated because of the event, but what happens after the event?
With other divisions, BDU have to be more flexible and deal with some of these.
We have to be able
whether
to
it's grants or special loans to do
in
these
terms
things
of getting the
so
equipment.
BDU still have too many limitations.
We have to make the policies a lot more flexible, and in the even if it is in the short term, because we have to stimulate the creation of other industries. The THA cannot be God on the island of Tobago. The private sector really has to step up, and that stepping up has to be supported by policies of the THA. We have to make sure and make proper investments, but people also have to be passionate and committed. It can't be that you're going in business to fail in the first 2 years. The statistics for failure rate is, for most new businesses, is something in the region of 90% at least. So when you look at such a high failure rate, which means 9 in 10 businesses fail in the first 2 years, it means that there's a lot that we still have to do in terms of training people to get into business, in terms of culturing a particular mindset. I was just at the launch of the Tobago Advisory Business Services as part of the Tobago Chamber of Commerce, and what they're trying to do is get businesses on board with that type of training that they need to survive in business, and the banks are on board, and the persons who are mentors in the business field are on board, and the people who have been doing it for years are on board. And it means that if you have all this support in a one-stop shop and supported by the THA in terms of us making investments to make sure that it works, it means that more people have options. If you have a skill and you can make jewelry, you can make soap, you can make draperies, you can make chairs. Community development is having their graduation this afternoon. Another cycle of persons are going to be trained. How many of these people are moving into businesses? How many of these people are becoming entrepreneurs? How many of these people are leaving the THA to go into business full-time so that we could continue to build our private sector? We have to connect the dots. We have to, get the thing flowing so that people have more options.
Tasha, we need to go for another break, and when we come back, I want us to touch on the heritage and, of course, go into the carnival.
Okay.
We go for a break, and we'll be right back.
This Christmas, speed is on us. Get up to 300 megabits per second of speed with our new Link Up Plus plan. Enjoy more speed, more channels, and free streaming for less. Plus, introducing Link Up More with up to 1 gig download speed. Download, stream, video call, share memes, and more. Get free installation when you sign up in-store or online today at discoverflow.co.
Welcome to Standard, and today we're launching High. It's our newest brand that Standard is launching, and it's where luxury meets affordability. We're very proud of this brand. It's taken some time to get the right collection in place, and we're also going to continue to improve on our collection as time goes by and we listen to our customers more. We've changed our suppliers for this collection to European suppliers, so you're going to get that European finish. We've been very pleased by some of the results that we've been seeing in terms and response to it in the market, and we're so glad to bring it to Tobago and show Tobago what Standard could, grow with them as well.
It's not just about looking good or having materials that are easily cleaned or sustainable materials, because the important thing about this particular collection is that it is quality. It is meant to last, and it lives up to the Standard name about never beating on quality and price. This furniture particularly, especially our outdoor line, which ranges from fiberglass, plastic types of outdoor stools, outdoor chairs, even the outdoor furniture, it is built to last.
that's the importance with Hive, right? It's not only looking good, it's going to feature things that make your life easier, and it's not too damaging on the pocket. That's important for us.
This furniture fits the lifestyle of Tobago, of the Tobago customer, of the Tobago guest. It is the perfect type of furniture for you.
Thank you, viewers, for staying with us. I know you may have other options, but this is a very interesting discussion we're having here this morning with Councillor Tashia Boris, the Secretary for Transport, Tourism, Antiquities, and so on. We need to talk a little bit about the heritage, and before we move on to things like the Carnival and the airlift and these big issues.
So many things to talk about. You know, I mean, coming in and having kind of heritage 2 years in a row, and being able to see how the heritage has evolved. I think, one, we have to have a conversation with the people of Tobago regarding, you know, what does heritage mean to them, and is heritage still relevant today to the people of Tobago? Because I think we've so gotten used to the production type or the production style setup of the Heritage Festival, and I know that it looks very different to what the festival started. Its beginnings very, very different, and the beginnings of the Heritage Festival was largely supported by private sector, very minimal involvement in the state. Now the opposite is true, but I feel personally that, you know, the heritage has to be owned by the communities, and more than just, you know, the production,
by the communities and supported by the
private sector and the THA together. So not the THA bringing 100% to the table, but also I think that there has to be a conversation, a deeper conversation about what heritage means to us, in terms of the stories that we tell. Not all the stories are happy stories. Not all the stories are funny stories. Not all the stories are entertaining stories. Are we ready to have those conversations that interrogate the parts of our history that are not so happy, not so entertaining, not so funny? Because there is value in really learning about where we have come from and how far we have come. And sometimes that requires very uncomfortable conversation. So what I would like to see is that even though we want to amplify all the good and all the happy and all the entertaining, that we have an opportunity to also showcase the darker sides, the not so happy sides of our history, so that we're able to, you know, bring balance to both sides of the equation. Yes, but certainly moving towards that community ownership again is ultimately the plan.
Yeah, you know, when I was much younger, we had in the THA the conference on culture. That is what gave birth to the idea of heritage and that sort of thing, you know, in the early 80s. But maybe a serious consultation again, maybe to review our heritage and our heritage culture. Yeah, and bring all these key stakeholders, and you'll have much more people coming on board, even some of the sponsors, you know, to have that kind of consultation and could be very fruitful.
And the elders in particular as well, because I feel that we're losing our living museums, and, you know, we have to document their stories and document their perspectives. And I think something like that is very, very critical and very important for us to be able to do, because there will be some point in time, 10 years from now, where a young person is asking, how did the heritage start? We must be able to show them the beginnings. We must be able to show them the actual words, the actual speeches, the actual, you know, conversations that were held by these people who were part of the birth of this thing, and, you know, so that they have that background.
Some of these things are recorded, I'm not too sure the quality, of course, you know, will not be the quality we have today. And then the other thing, those who want some big reels and some big tapes and so on.
So
and you have to know part of the project should be converted these videos into digital.
So part of the work of Antiquities will do all of that, because we have to create a library. We have to create a digital library. library as alongside the actual physical libraries that we have, but that digital library is very important because it would mean that we're making sure that we salvage what we have and we
But
can
you have
save
an
it for the
advisor
future.
that he alone could do all these things.
No. He has to build out, his work is to build out the administrative set of what is required for the work to get done. Because we know what the work is. We're very clear on what the work is. Now we have to find bodies to put in the space. The challenge with antiquities, however, is it's not an area that a lot of people have studied. So that you may find that the first set of people who are employed in that department may not necessarily be Tobagonians. But a conversation has already started with the education division in terms of probably offering scholarships and probably seeing how we can channel some young people into that area so that in a couple years' time we can have some Tobagonians taking up those positions.
Well, National Carnival, the Tobago Carnival is a big thing. You made your mark in the 2 years, and I don't know how you're going to try to make it even better, but you still could have...
The people will do that. Listen, I think I
must commend you and the division for pushing and having the carnival, the Tobago Carnival, look where it is and bring it to where it is in 2 years.
Well,
phenomenal.
I would be very wrong to say it was me alone. I had a very phenomenal, dedicated team of persons who work in our divisions and our companies. I'm not yet ready to reveal who those people are, but they know who they are. They know that they burn the midnight oil and burn the candle on both ends to bring the carnival this year into the forefront, the way that it was brought into the forefront. But certainly we could not do it by ourselves. We had to be supported by the different stakeholders, the Tobago October Carnival Association, TUCO, Pantrinbago, the private sector who stepped up, the TTPS and ACP Collis Hazel, TMA and all of the different arms of national security, the telecommunications providers, T&Tech. I mean, there was a whole host of persons. So the media, yes, of course, the role of the media is very important. But you know, all of the people who literally kind of said, you know what, we have to own this thing. This is We Carnival. And we have to put on the best show that Tobago can put on. And I worked on Carnival Day. I mean, I didn't get to enjoy myself. I was there making sure things were happening with the parade and just making sure everybody was okay. Because for me, the job is never done. In fact, the carnival is not over. I tell people the event is not over until everybody's paid. So the event is not over because we still have to pay some people. Yes, no, this year has been a lot sooner. People don't get paid already. I ain't hearing nothing. People don't get paid already. So, I mean, a lot of things that we had to learn, you know, we learned this year, and I think we were able to improve over last year. But there's still more improvement. I would not give us a 10 out of 10 at all.
And so on. But I want to get to tourism before we run out of time, although we have a little extra time. We thank you guys for doing that, especially given the guests we have on set today. The destination. Tobago as a destination. We won awards recently. Yes. We're happy about that. Congratulations to you and your team as well for getting that. But we have to do certain things about this destination. We have to get people here. We have to try to tell people how to treat with welcoming people.
Yes.
You have to tell people, provide transport, you know, whether you're Adventist or not. You have to try and find some way to get alternative transport or means of transport, you know. You have to tell drivers. I saw a fella puncture the other day with the tourists in it, and the spare tire, I tell you, was so shameful to see you know, all these little things we had to pay some attention to. How the general community interact with this destination to make it what it is and to make it better.
So I
Just about 3 minutes to talk about this destination.
I said something earlier. It speaks to pride. Pride. Tobago is not for Tobagonians alone anymore. Maybe at some point in time it was. But we have something that people want to see and experience and feel and enjoy and immerse themselves in. So are we telling people, come and see, you know, the new heritage song, come and see, come and see. We want them to come and see, but not just see. We have to make sure we're ready to welcome them. And I like to talk about putting on your harvest face. I just call it that. Because harvest time is the time when you could go in a Tobagonian house and they wine and dine you and, you know, you come as a stranger and you leave as family. We had to find a way to turn that on 365 days in the year. You had to put on your harvest face. Because harvest, I think, represents the best of who we are. The best behavior that we put on. So that the same thing that you talk about, you know, a driver who driving tourists, anything could happen. Make sure you spare tire in a gear.
Yeah, make sure things
and these are listen,
sure
customer service training can't deal with that, you know. That speaks about pride in yourself. That when you get up in the morning, you make sure take a nice shower, you iron your shirt properly, you put it on and it's sit on, you're good. You go and you greet the guests with a nice smile, and you make sure that they have such an exceptional experience that by the time they leave, they're ready to come back. They could only say great things about the destination, only say great things about you. We have to
Some years ago, we had a situation where on a cruise ship, a guy, his family, took a tour to go, I think, somewhere around Scarborough to Plymouth and come back, and so on. And the guy came back livid, the tourists and the family, because the driver took him to where they tell him to take them and did not say a single word. You could imagine that? The man was livid. They had to give back the money to the man and so on. But the problem was that the guy used to stammer or stutter.
Oh, okay.
So he was kind of a little embarrassed to see anything because he was stuttering. And you had to realize that, you know, if you have a driver who is stuttering and so on, maybe give him a short trip or something. You know, you don't put him on these long trips where he's afraid to talk and stuttering. You know, you have to look at all these, what you might consider little things, but they're little nuisances, anything that you could put the man there to help to arrange the transport, who get into what vehicle and that sort of thing, instead of putting him on a job to take people around to see the beauty of the island.
So I would tell you that that's how my brain works. The little things are the big things with me. Yeah? So, for example, when I walked into the whole cruise ship situation that morning, because I just come back from London the night before. So I was in the air for 9 hours. So even if I had gotten a message that something might have been amiss, I would not have gotten that message till I arrived that night. And even then, there was nothing that I can do. I got on the port and then I realized everybody face looking long and asking what's happening, because we came for the plaque exchange. It's the first time the ship has come. And then I realized that there was some major fallout with the tours. Now, I tell you, I used to work on the port, so I know buses are supposed to be there for 6 a.m. Even though, because tours start at 8, people start coming off at around 7:30 after immigration does what they have to do. So that if buses are not on the port by 6:30, you already know something is wrong, because your morning tours are thrown off, because the buses have to come early to get their stickers, to get their guides assigned, different kinds of things. So you have to make sure everything is fine.
Kind of inspected too,
well, those inspections happen before, but there's also a morning inspection that happens. So that is why they have to be there 2 hours before the first scheduled tour.
Oh, good.
So that if buses are not there by 6:30, you already know something's amiss. So I get on the port at 9, everybody's face is long, and I realize that things have gone left. By that time, tours have already been cancelled. And now I have to go on this ship and hand over this plaque and smile and take a picture, and then have to deal with the complaints after. Again, I don't ever do anything to fail. So if up to the day before, I'm being told that everything is okay and that we're all set, and then something major happens on the day of, then I want to know what happened. I need some answers. In any case, at that point, there's physically nothing that I can do, because I can't pull buses out of the air, and I can't uncancel the tours. They've already started refunding people. And the only thing that I could have thought of, well, if I was a cruise ship passenger, right, what would make me feel a little better about the situation? I put myself in the shoes of the passenger, not necessarily the ship, not necessarily the crew, the tour people or the bus people or whatever. I put myself in the shoes of a passenger, and I walked down to the deck where they were giving the refunds. Nobody was cussing, everybody was taking back their money quietly and whatever. But in my mind, I'm like, what would I have liked? And I said, you know what, a personal apology. That I would feel good if a destination reached out to me and say, look, I'm so sorry that you couldn't enjoy this destination today. And that's what I did. I left the ship, went back to the office. It was just myself, the tourism manager, one of the security guards, and Mr. Wilson, my very, very plucky, hard-working marketing officer for transport. And we went and I wrote this letter of apology, signed it, print 350 copies of it. And we packed 350 gift bags for these affected passengers. And the thing is that some
So we have gift bags that already did?
No, we have stock like promotional items in the division, and we dropped them back at the port that afternoon before the ship left, so that every single passenger who had their tour cancelled should have gotten that letter of apology and that gift bag with a Tobago branded item. Now, some people may really appreciate it. Some people mightn't think too hoots about it, but I'll tell you that when you're walking around a destination and the place hot, you're happy for that Tobago Beyond umbrella to walk around with. So from a marketing perspective, all these Tobago Beyond goodies are all over the world now because the passengers come from all over. But bigger than that, I think that as a secretary, at the end of the day, even if it was not my fault, I had to take responsibility. That's one. The second thing is that you have to treat with the fallout immediately. So if you can do something to treat with the fallout immediately, you do that. And then when that is done, you treat with all the other things. Figure out what went wrong, who went wrong, why it went wrong, and make sure that the thing doesn't happen again. And I'm pleased to say that the Silhouette came back over the weekend, and we had more people on tour this time. We had 834 people to go on tour, and the operation went like butter. They
So
actually
where were the
said
buses from?
the buses, we pulled them from the two current associations. They were able to get some more buses into the system over for the weekend, and we also had to pull the resources from across the divisions to be able to utilize those as well.
From the different divisions?
We got about 8 in total.
What?
Yeah,
And they were
so
in good condition?
of course, yes, we take care of our things. Yeah, so we had 42 buses in total. The drivers from the divisions, these are government resources, so the drivers have to come out and stuff.
Give them with the government. These are trained people to take tourists around?
Well, they have tour guides, so tour guides are on the
board
boats,
the
yes,
bus.
yes.
Right,
So they're
right.
not expected to do anything other than drive. Yes, so we were able to successfully take 834 persons on tour, and that augurs well for Tobago as a destination because the ships want to sell more tours. They have more tours, more varied tours in terms of the different packages, whether you're going to Pigeon Point, Cocoa Estate, you're going up to Blue Waters, all over the island. There are different things to see and do, and we want to be able to showcase different parts of our island to the people who visit. So seeing that we're able to rise to the occasion and make sure that we have treated with the challenges that could come up when it comes to being able to provide transportation, it means that Tobago could continue to showcase itself as a cruise ship destination that is growing.
So the communication is much better with respect to you and the different stakeholders involved in the cruise ship business.
Well, there was never any issue with communication. The sad thing is that you can only go on what someone tells you. If we had a meeting prior and everyone said, they will bring to the table what is necessary for the thing to be successful. And if on the day something happens that no one could have reasonably planned for, at the end of the day, our responsibility is to ensure that we will prevent it from happening again. So we will have fail-safes, we will have backup plans, we will have plan A, plan B, plan C, and plan D, because this situation really damaged our reputation. I had to spend some time on the phone with executives from some of the cruise ships to assure them that, Tobago is serious about tourism, we're serious about cruise shipping, and that we will do what we have to do.
About 5 more minutes again, and the pressure in us, boy. The airlift and the hotel rooms, two things that I wanted to conclude.
So, plenty plans. I don't know how I stay awake because there's so many things to do. When you look at the fact that about 80% of our room stock on the island is locally owned, which is very different to what happens in other Caribbean islands. The majority of hotel accommodation is owned by foreigners, foreign brands in other islands, foreign brands, foreign owners, from Airbnbs to large hotels. In Tobago, the opposite is true. The majority of our accommodation is local.
But that speaks to development.
Exactly, and it speaks to how community. Yes. So it's something that we have to sell because that is a unique selling point in of itself. Because there are people who travel with the idea that they want to contribute to our local economy and they want to stay at a locally owned establishment. So that is in and of itself something that we can market, that Tobago is a place where you will come and you will stay at locally owned establishments. But just because it's locally owned doesn't mean that it doesn't have a global view and a global outlook and a global management. So that you can walk into a locally owned establishment but it looks like a 5-star luxury accommodation. And this is where we want to get our people to, because we are competing with established brands. We're competing with established destinations, very mature. Tobago has the opportunity.
How much rooms do we have now?
So working room stock is somewhere between 32 to 3,800, and when I say working, there are different reasons why room stock could be pulled out of the system, you know, for renovations or things like that, or people might be temporarily closing down their establishments. Like if they're not on island, they will close their establishment, leave, and then come back. So you have a working room stock of between 32 and 38, but ideally Tobago's ideal number is something like 5,000 rooms. Yeah, just over 5,000 rooms. But in terms of what is happening next year, there's a schedule to be the breaking of ground for the Secrets and Dreams Resort at Killigwint Bay, which is a 500-room establishment. We have the Elephant Tree Hotel and Villas in the east of Tobago in Roxborough. They've already broken ground. They're in the middle of construction, and they are going to have a small hotel of about 40 rooms, and then they have a villa development that is going to put an additional 126 rooms, I think, into the room stock. But outside of that, we really want to encourage persons to get involved in the accommodation sector. So right now I'm working on a policy.
That will be ready.
Manta Lodge. So Manta Lodge is actually in the process of being ready to be open. So it's 20 rooms at Manta Lodge.
They really cater for diving, or just particularly any?
It would be marketed as a dive hotel. We had the opportunity to stay there when we went on retreat. Because you're now in the space, you could recognize where there's some things that need to be done, some little tweaks and stuff. So they're still doing some minor fixes. Yes. Very, very comfortable. Very scenic views, certainly. The sea's right there, so it allows you to sleep. But just some minor fixes that have to be done to make it ready for opening somewhere in January of 2024. But outside of those three, I really want to encourage more persons to get into the accommodation sector, even if it's 1 room, 2 rooms, 3 rooms. Airbnb is a big thing now. A lot of people travel and use Airbnb, and it's a model that I think that could work for Tobago. It's just how do we get persons into this space? So now we have to have a conversation with that same BVU, have a conversation with NITCO, have a conversation with even ourselves in terms of what votes we can use to try to have a program in place to get people to now upgrade their smaller accommodations. And these are places with between 1 and 5 rooms. Yes, put on extensions so that you could give that home stay kind of feel, that bed and breakfast kind of feel. Because the thing that really sells Tobago, the model that we have that has been working is that Castara model. There are no hotels in Castara. There are no large properties in Castara.
You know, I met a man the other day, 15 or 13 years, he tell me he come into Castara.
Religiously, and you will get those stories. They don't come to Tobago, they come to Castara. Yes. Because they bypass everything else and they go there. Because you get so many things when you stay in communities like Castara. And Castara is not the only one of its kind. You have Buku that has its nuances. You have Plymouth, Blackrock that has its own personality. You have Speyside and Charlottesville that gives you a different feel of the island. So we have communities that we could build out those types of products in already. What we have to do is get an idea of what the assets are, the natural assets that we can have attractions around, and then encourage the rest of the community to get involved.
Like that. Airlift, you'll have about 3 more minutes.
Oh boy. Well, airlift is what airlift is. Well, airlift is what it is for us right now. I mean, CAL is our main carrier. We do have our international connections via BA and Condor, and we are looking for more at this time. We're trying to get into the Scandinavian market again. But in addition to that, we are looking at seeing what regional carriers could come into this space to provide some more additional airlift to Tobago. So we're having conversations with regional carriers out of Grenada and St. Vincent and even Guyana to see how we could establish connections to those territories over the next year. But there's so much work to do, Mr. McFarlane, so much work to do. And I mean, I just want to tell, as we wrap up, I just want to tell the people of Tobago that you have a working secretary. I don't go to sleep any night without asking myself, did I do the best that I could have today? Could I have done more? And it actually haunts my dreams. I've had not one night of good rest since I've been in this job. And I know I will not have one night of good rest until I feel as if we are in the place that we need to be. We are some ways away from that, but every step that we take forward is a step that we get closer closer to that victory. And that victory is not mine alone. It's a victory for the people of Tobago. If we say that tourism is what we want, we need to take pride in ourselves, take pride in what we're trying to sell to people, take pride in having an island that we could be proud of and that Tobago could be proud to visit. And that's the most important thing. Let's take pride in everything that we do. Nothing is too small. No job is too big. That if we do it together, it will get done. And that's what I want to say. I mean, I continue to thank my colleagues, the Chief Secretary, for having confidence in me despite all the trials and tribulations that we have faced. And I thank the people of Tobago for your support wherever you are. I get the messages, I get the prayers, I get the random texts from weird numbers, you know, saying, you know, you're doing a good job, don't give up, don't study the naysayers. I mean, the negativity gets to you sometimes.
Tell the Secretary that there's a document he has in his possession that he needs to treat with
I will let him know that, yes.
Tell him Jerry McFarlane said the document he has in his hand, he needs to treat with it.
I will tell him that. But I just want the people of Tobago to know that you have an administration that is committed. If nothing else, we are committed to the growth of this island. If nothing else, we are committed to the progress of our people.
And I like how you're just coping, you're dealing with the challenges,
yeah,
and you're turning them into
take them as they
success
come,
stories and so on.
you know, with a smile on your face, as much as possible. You know, I always try to maintain a very positive outlook. If you have to cuss me on social media, I will never see it because I'm not there. And I don't let negativity penetrate my mind. My mind is a very sacred place. My heart is a very sacred place as well. And that's what keeps me going. Negativity can't get to me. People could say what they want, but they didn't make me and they can't break me. So I will continue to do the thing that needs to be done. I will continue to listen to good advice. I will continue to take constructive criticism. I will continue to listen to all suggestions regardless of where they come from, because at the end of the day, we all want what is best for this island. And as long as you want what is best for this island, you have my ears and you have my support. And as long as we have the support of the people of Tobago, then we can't fail.
Yeah. Councillor Boris, I want to thank you immensely.
Not a problem.
I mean, this has been one of the better.
Yes.
I don't want to say
has
that
been a great
to dismiss
interview.
the other persons who were here.
No.
But
my
it was
colleagues
really
are great.
informative, and it shows the level of commitment that you have, and the drive and the determination, and I see the change agent in you to try and change things and make things not just different, but making it better for this little island on the planet that we have to become and work towards having. This to be the best little island on the planet. Thank you again, Councillor.
Not a problem.
And I surely will keep in touch with you with some of these other matters, so some of which I'm pursuing personally, and so on. So we'll have other things to discuss from time to time. Thanks again. Have a lovely day, and I wish you all God's blessings and greater productivity in your division and what you do here in Tobago. Thank you. Folks, we are to the end of this program today, and of course tomorrow I think we have Abby Taylor, the presiding officer of the Tobago House of Assembly. She'll be here to tell you about her stories and her challenges and even her successes. I don't know if she wants to talk about putting people out or having people out of the chamber, but these and other issues will be discussed with Abby Taylor tomorrow. So see you. Have a blessed week ahead, and then we see you tomorrow, God's willing.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new